Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today. And welcome to the 2023 IWRS Session 2. So over the next 3 hours, you will have the opportunity to learn more about the Illinois Works Reporting System, or IWRS. And just as a reminder, the target audience for today's session are those individuals who are accountable for data entry, data management, pre-apprenticeship program completion tracking, transition support, follow-up services, and any task related to cohort participants. So some of those job titles and roles might include program administrators, program managers, program coordinators, data entry coordinators, or any individual who is responsible for entering or maintaining data in IWRS. All right. So I'm hearing a little bit of background noise. If you were unmuted, if you can please mute your line. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So again, thank you all so much for joining. We are happy that you are here. We're excited to join you on Valentine's Day. I know this was all in your Valentine's Day plans, so we're glad that you included us. My name is Christine Flynn. I am a grant manager here with the Office of Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. And before we begin, I want to just take a moment to introduce you to a couple of team members who are joining me today. So the first team member I want to introduce you to is Dr. Gia Suggs. She is our instructional designer and will be helping us advance all of our slides today.
You know why this is not working?
Everyone, and welcome. And just let me pause for a second and say there is someone who is unmuted. If you don't mind, could you please mute your line?
Can you hear me?
Nora, it might be you. Everyone, thank you, Christine, for the introduction, and everyone, welcome.
Thank you, Gia. All right, next up, we have Dan Martinez, who is a grant manager here with the Office of Illinois Works.
Hey, good morning and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Looking forward to the session.
And finally, we have Dr. Vera Lee Robinson, who is the program coach with the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
Great. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. We are all excited to be here with you. We do have another member of our team who's not joining us today, but I do just want to mention Dr. Norman Morano, who is the Deputy Director of our team, and he will be joining us on Thursday at the Grantee Manual Session 3. But today you have the rest of us joining you. So let's go ahead and jump in to our course description. So Illinois Works was created, as you all know by this point, as a result of Governor Pritzker's commitment to expanding equity in Illinois' construction workforce. The Office of Illinois Works, in partnership with Southern Illinois University's Center for Workforce Development, developed the Illinois Works Reporting System. So you will hear us refer to the Illinois Works Reporting System in an abbreviated fashion. We often will refer to it as IWRS. So whenever you hear that, that's what we are talking about. This system allows grantees to track key information about participants' progress throughout their engagement with the Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. And during this course, you will be provided with information about IWRS, navigation instructions, intake, and additional system tools. So this is going to be a pretty hands-on course today, and we will cover a lot. So by the end of this session, you will be able to describe the role of the Illinois Works Reporting System, explain the relationship between IWRS and the pre-apprenticeship life cycle, navigate the IWRS main page, add and update participant profiles and intake information, add and update wraparound services and career assessment information, and submit a ticket to SIU to report any system glitches. So as a reminder, if at any point you feel like you might have missed something or you want more, you want to come back and watch it again, please be reminded that this session is being recorded. This session, as with all of our webinars, are recorded and then posted onto the Illinois Works Partner Guide. That link is being provided to you in the chat now. So if someone else on your team wasn't able to make it today, they can always go back to the partner guide and watch any of these webinars. They are all recorded and posted there. So before we begin, are there any questions? Beerly, do you see any questions in the chat?
No, so far no questions in the chat.
Okay, great. So let's move on to find out a little bit more about those of you who are joining us today. So by the end of this section, you will be able to identify your fellow session participants and be able to utilize the WebEx features and functions to fully participate in the training today. If you have been with a training with me before, you know I really enjoy using emojis and raising hands. We will continue to do that today. So we'll review just a few of those features to make sure we're all on the same page. And as a reminder, you can always ask questions throughout this session. We have a Q&A slide at the end of every single module, but you can always also, after the session, if any other questions come up, email your assigned grant manager or reach out to us at our general email box, ceo.illinoisworks@illinois.gov. That email address is also being put in the chat for you if you would like to save that. Our team checks this constantly, kind of throughout the day. So if you need any, want to ask a question, want to give feedback, feel free to send it there as well. So now let's go ahead and find out who is in the room. So we are going to be utilizing the chat feature of WebEx. So in the chat, if you can please go ahead and put your name, your organization, role, geographic location, and if you attended the first IWRS session, please put a little star, an asterisk next to your name so we know who has been here with us before. So we have Adam Lovell, welcome back, Adam, Andrew Bailiff, DeEva, William, let's see, Alejandro, welcome, Giselle, Ariella, Crystal, Michelle, Sarah, welcome, welcome, April, Felina, Danielle, with Lumini, Daniel with EDDR, Hazel, it's a project manager. Let's see, Miguel, welcome from St. Augustine. Tara Goodwin is with CAPS. It's good to see we have a good mix of new grantees as well as some of our returning grantees. Linda from SWIC down in Belleville, Tanya from Awaken Foundation up in Rockford. Let's see, Tawana, let's see, DeEva from EDDR, Suzette from ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors. Let's see, Saya from Revolution Workshop. Thank you all so much for joining today. Seems like we have maybe some new hires with our renewal grantees as well, which is always exciting to see those teams expanding. Let's see, Barbara Wright with Impact Global, Gina Taylor from Richland Community College, Kelvina from CAPS, Deborah from Mercon, welcome. Rochelle and Tina from CAPS as well, Jermaine from Take. Let's see, Nora from Hasia and Kendra from Tools Up. I apologize if I missed anyone. My chat was going crazy with all of your awesome engagement, so I appreciate you all for being here today. And I'm excited to see kind of this good mix of individuals who are coming from our new grantees as well as our renewed grantees. So since we do have kind of that mix, I am going to go ahead and kind of just walk through some of our WebEx features. So some of you might have used WebEx before if you've been in a training we've done previously, but for those who are not familiar with it, let's just go through and test some of these features out. So the first one we're going to look at is mute and unmute. So we do, invite you during that question and answer section to unmute your line. But we do ask throughout the rest of the presentation for you to remain muted. So if you can go ahead and test that mute feature, you can see on the screen here, it's on that bottom navigation bar all the way to the left. Looks like a little microphone. If you could please go ahead and unmute yourself. It looks like somebody did that. Good job. Just go ahead and unmute yourself. You guys can say hi, just so we can hear you. Make sure we all know how to use it. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Christine.
Hello.
Hi. Good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great. It's so good to hear all of your voices. Hello, hello. Okay, awesome. So then to remute, you just click that button again and it'll cut off your sound. So the next one we are going to review is your start and stop video. So we do not require you to have your videos on. You, of course, are welcome to if you would like to, but you can start and stop your video by clicking the next button to the right. It's got the little camera on it. So you can feel free now if you would like to start your video and wave if you would like, just to test that feature out. But I think we've all kind of used that before. So the next feature we are going to look at is the raised hand. So this feature is going to be really important today because we are going to be doing a lot of practice sessions. And in the last IWRS session, we had some feedback that people kind of were getting left behind, or they weren't, with the same place that the rest of the group was. So today during our practice sections, if you can please utilize this little raised hand. So if you can go ahead, raise your hand right now. That's going to be the signal between you and I that you are ready to move on. You're in the same place that I am on my screen, and you guys are good to go. Awesome. I'm seeing all these great hands. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So then once we are ready to move on, all you need to do is click that hand again, and it will lower your hand. So that's going to tell me you're now ready to move on. We're good to go. The next feature we will be using today is this emojis feature. So again, if you have trained with me, you know I like emojis, but today we're going to use this for a very specific purpose. Because we are going through practice sections, I want to make sure that I am going slow enough for everyone. Everyone is on the same page. So if at any time during the practice sections, I am going a little too fast for you, I'm going to ask you to go into your emojis and you're going to click on the little turtle. So you guys all should have just seen a little turtle come up. There you go. Awesome, Michelle. That is going to be your signal to me that I need to just slow down a little bit. So you need just a minute to catch up, wherever you're at. So awesome. Thank you all for testing that out. So those are kind of the main two we're going to be using today as far as those kind of emojis and raising hands. But we also will always use our chat feature. So all of you just tested that out by providing us with your information. So that is where you can go ahead and put a question in the chat. Let's see. Eva is asking, how about if we want you to speed up? Well, I have never had that request to Eva, so I don't know. But I think there is a bunny in there. But normally I'm just going to be slowing down for you guys. So that is the chat feature. And then the final feature is the groups feature. So this is one that we are not going to be using today, but it is something we at times will do kind of breakout groups, just to give you guys a little bit more time to talk as a smaller kind of collective there. So let's go ahead and move on now that we are all on the same page for our emojis and our raising hands. Are there any questions at this point about what we just reviewed?
So far, no questions.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. So let's do just a quick introduction to IWRS for those among us who are new to this system. So by the end of this module, you will be able to describe the purpose of IWRS and explain the relationship between IWRS and the pre-apprentice life cycle. So many of you were introduced, if you are a program administrator, you were introduced to IWRS in IWRS session 1 or in the 2023 administrator orientation. IWRS session 1 was tailored to administrators and focused on provider information, managing users, and specific reporting tools that are utilized by program administrators. And this session today is tailored to individuals responsible for participant intake, training services, and specific reporting tools. So this is for all of you who are going to be entering, maintaining, updating information specifically around participant information. Now, IWRS is a data management and reporting system that is designed to allow grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program activities. It is an Illinois Works internal facing system for compliance reporting. It is required that all grantees enter data into IWRS in real time as activities occur. Now, before we kind of shift any further, I want to just really emphasize here that IWRS is the only reporting system that our team can utilize for compliance. So I know that many of you may utilize alternate systems, you may have other ways of tracking your participant data, but as far as any compliance reporting, our team can only look at IWRS. So if it is not in the system, from our perspective, it did not happen. And I know I've had many conversations with grantees that say, you know, but this happened, we did this, we had this activity, we had these participants. If it is not in the reporting system, even if we have a conversation about it, if it's not in the system, we cannot count it for compliance. So please make sure all of your data is accurate and it matches what's happening on the ground, because this is the only tool that gives us visibility into what is taking place with your team. So now, just again, the IWRS system was designed in partnership with SIU's Center for Workforce Development, and it was officially launched just a year ago, so February of last year. And due to the custom design, IWRS allows grantees to track pre-apprenticeship program inquiries, participants, and grantee partnerships. This system also allows programs to track key information about participants' progress throughout their engagement with the program, including their application, their enrollment status and announcements, career and support service assessments, enrollment in training modules, attendance, training completion, transition, and follow-up post-completion. So we're only going to talk about part of that today, the front half through training services. We will talk about completion and follow-up in IWRS session 3, which will take place next week. Now, you should recognize this pre-apprentice life cycle from our grantee manual sessions. The Illinois Works pre-apprentice program requirements are organized in this life cycle. The pre-apprentice life cycle outlines the steps that participants take as they move through the pre-apprenticeship program. So it tracks participants' progress from that initial program outreach all the way through post-transition follow-up. So you can see I'm just following this graphic around. And each stage demonstrates an integral step in preparing participants to enroll in a DOL registered apprenticeship program. So given this, your program will be required to input its data into IWRS based on this pre-apprentice life cycle. So as we go through the system, you'll notice that the system is set up to follow these same steps so that we can always be following this cycle. So as an example, your 2023 grantee cohorts will produce results that we will use to identify the program's status at a particular time during the year. So here on this screen, you can see some example data. So this data is actually real data from last year, our grantees from 2022. And you can see all of the different pieces of data that we can get from IWRS. So the number of inquiries, the number of applicants, how many people were enrolled, how many people completed the program, transitioned, how many people are now getting follow-up completed with them. So all of this, each stage is going to provide us data, but this is just some examples of the types of data that we can pull from the system. Now, for more information on the pre-apprentice life cycle and the Illinois Works expectations regarding implementation, you can refer to the Illinois Works 2023 Grantee Manual. You all should have received this by now, but if for some reason you don't have ready access to it, the link for that manual is now being placed in the chat. And that link is going to take you over to the manual that is housed on the Illinois Works Partner Guide. So if you're ever looking for it in the future, you can go to the Partner Guide, and that is where it lives. So feel free to use that chat now, or that chat link now to find it. And at this point, are there any questions about this kind of general introduction to IWRS?
No questions are in chat, Christine.
Okay, great. Thank you, Verily. All right. So now we have gotten through kind of our introduction, and let's go ahead and talk about how to sign into IWRS. And by the end of this section, you will be able to identify IWRS roles. You'll be able to sign into Illinois workNet, and you'll be able to access the Illinois Works reporting system. So this is your very first step into getting into IWRS, is actually logging in, making sure you have access. So before we get into kind of the technical instructions, I want to review the different roles in the system with you. So there are 4 different roles in IWRS. The first is a service provider. So this is going to be individuals who are just expected to add and edit participant information. So this is not your kind of program administrators. They are going to be your kind of individual contributors. So roles that might be in this space would be a wraparound service coordinator, an outreach and recruitment coordinator. Perhaps your instructors might put attendance in or post-assessment scores. Your student support service coordinators, your transition service coordinators. So that's generally who we see in this service provider role. The next level up is a service provider program administrator. So that's your program administrators, your program managers. Often we'll see data entry coordinators in this space, but these are the individuals who are going to need access to be able to add new staff members, who need access to organizational level information, and who need access to specific reports so that they're able to kind of verify data, things like that. So they're able to get kind of more of a bird's eye view as opposed to kind of an individual contributor at that service provider stage. Now there are 2 other roles, so program managers and super administrators. These 2 roles are only for Illinois Works staff as well as SIU staff. So the reason we put these in here is so that you all know that we do have access, higher level access to the system. So if there is something in the system that you're seeing that doesn't quite make sense to you, or you need some other information, you can always reach out to your grant manager who is able to kind of get a little bit higher level access to the system and might be able to kind of see some different features that you're not able to see. So, but for all of you, it's going to either be a service provider or a program administrator. So those are the two roles that your teams will work with. So now, before we begin, I just want to make sure that everyone can access the IWRS system. So prior to today's session, I had gone through, you might have gotten an email from me just stating, hey, I didn't see you in the system. Please make sure to sign up. At this point, all of you should have an Illinois workNet account, and you should have been added to IWRS. If you know that that is not true for you, please right now go ahead and privately message Dan Martinez from our team, and he is going to help you navigate this and make sure that you have access to the system so that we can keep going while he is helping you. So again, if you do not have Illinois workNet access, you do not have Illinois Works reporting system access, please privately message Dan now, and he will help you navigate this. All right, so for everyone else, we are going to kind of keep moving on. And what you're going to do here, and sounds like someone is unmuted. Can you please mute your line if that is you? Looks like, okay, thank you, Leilani. So what I'm going to walk through now is just kind of simple instructions for those of you who might need to sign up. Again, go ahead, follow these instructions, and then privately message Dan if you need further assistance. So to sign up, you are going to go to www.illinoisworknet.com. That chat link is in the chat right now. Dan just posted it. And in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a button that says sign up. You're going to click on that, and you are going to complete the form on Illinois workNet. And then that will produce an Illinois workNet account for you. At that stage, you will still not have access yet to IWRS, but you will at least have your Illinois workNet account. Once you have done that, message Dan and he can help you with the next steps of getting you access to IWRS. Now, for those of you who already have access to IWRS, we're going to walk through two different ways that you can log into IWRS. So the first way you can see here on your screen is you are going to navigate to www.illinoisworknet.com. Again, that link is in the chat. And you are going to scroll down on that main page. When you scroll down, you're going to see a section that's called State Partner Resources. So it's going to look like the section here on your slide. It'll say State Partner Resources. And then you're going to click View More. So once you click on View More, you will see a row that is produced of additional kind of icons here. And that's where our logo will show up. So it'll look exactly like it does on the screen here. It'll say Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship Program. And when you click on that, it's going to actually take you over to the Illinois Works Partner Guide. Now, once you get over to the Illinois Works Partner Guide, you will see on that main page there are these 4 circles. The leftmost circle, when you click on that, it is going to bring up a login screen for you. And there is where you can log into IWRS. So that is one way of getting into the system. You can always get into the system through the Illinois Works Partner Guide by clicking on that button there on the main screen. Now, a second way to get into the system is directly from the Illinois workNet site. So what you'll do is you'll go to www.illinoisworknet.com. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will see a button that says Log In. When you click on that button, the system will allow you to log in with your Illinois workNet user information. And then you will see this new orange navigation bar show up. On that navigation bar, you are going to see a button that says My Dashboard. And when you click on that, this little drop-down menu will appear. And on the right side of your drop-down menu, you'll see a section that's called Partner Tools. In Partner Tools, there will be Customer Support Center / IWRS. By clicking on that, that is going to take you into any databases that you have access to, including IWRS. So this is, again, just another way to get into the IWRS system. So once you click on customer support here, you've logged in, it's going to take you to a screen that's called Groups. And on that Groups screen, it's going to display any Illinois WorkNet groups you might be part of. So some of you might have other grants that utilize Illinois WorkNet. So you might have in there, you know, Apprenticeship Illinois or JTED, but you will also see one that's called ILWorks. ILWorks is the Illinois Works Reporting System. So when you click on that in the groups screen, it will take you into IWRS. So I know we're talking a lot here. I'm going to share my screen in just a minute and we're going to walk through it together. But I just want to kind of give you a couple different ways to get into this system. So at this point, are there any questions before we move on to our practice?
No questions in chat, Christine.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to now, I'm going to steal the screen here from Gia, and we're going to walk through together a practice of how to sign in to IWRS. Now, again, once you have done this, once you've gotten into the system, go ahead and just put up your little hand here on WebEx and leave that raised so I know who is at that stage. If you need me to slow down at any point during the practice, just throw up that little turtle emoji and I will pause and make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay. All right, so here I am. I am at the Illinois WorkNet main page here. And I'm actually, the system had already auto kind of logged me in. But this is what the system will look like when you first navigate to that website. So the first way that we walked through was to get to www.illinoisworknet.com. And then we're just going to scroll down this main page until we get to State Partner Resources. And then you'll click on View More. Now, this is going to take you to all of the partner guides for every single program that Illinois WorkNet works on. And we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom here until we find Illinois Works. And we're going to click on that. And that's going to deliver us over to the partner guide. Now, once we're on the partner guide, we can get down to these 4 buttons here. And we click on Access the Illinois Works Reporting System. And then it'll ask us to log in. So I'm not going to log in right now because I want to show you the other way to log in as well. But this is how you'd get to the login screen from that first way we reviewed. Now, the second way is, again, you'll start on the Illinois WorkNet main page, so this workforce portal here. And up in the left-hand corner, you'll see this login button. You'll click on the login button, and it'll again bring you to that login section here. And then you'll just press sign in. So for me, mine is auto saved in there. For you, you might have to type it in, but either way, it's going to allow you to log in. And you'll be delivered back to the workforce portal, so the main page. But now you have this orange navigation bar here that wasn't there before. You'll choose My Dashboard, and you'll get this drop down. And then you'll come to Partner Tools on the right side and click Customer Support Center / IWIS. So now our system will get us to log in. And once we've logged in, we are going to see this groups search page. So this is where, when I was telling you, you might have some other Illinois workNet groups you're a part of. So if you are part of JTED or Youth Pathways, things like that, those will all show up here. But for me, I'm only part of Illinois Works, so I just have this one group name here. So we're going to go ahead and click on IL Works. And that is how we get into the Illinois Works reporting system. So I just want to make sure I'm only seeing a few hands. So if you can please put up your little hand so I can know, are you now in the Illinois Works reporting system? Okay, awesome. Thank you, April. Thank you, Ariella, Eva. Great. Okay. Okay, I'm just looking for a couple more hands. Want to make sure we're all on the same page. Let's see. So Sarah's got it. Jermaine's got it. Awesome. Nora. Okay, great. Okay, so it does look like we have kind of a good majority here. Is there anyone who is struggling here before we move on? I just want to make sure, in case we have anyone who's not seeing something that they need. Okay, so it's like Gina is saying she does not see the customer support. Okay, so Gina, if you can go ahead and message Dan Martinez, he is going to help you make sure that you have access. If you're not seeing customer support, that likely means that you have not been added yet by your program administrator to the system, but Dan can help you with that. So he'll reach out to you. All right. Okay. All right, I'm not seeing a couple hands here. I just want to make sure. Barbara, Calvina, Deborah, Suzette, are you guys all good? You can just put up your little hand on WebEx so I know we're good to move on. Danielle, Daryl, Washington. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm seeing a good number of hands now. So I think we're going to go ahead and move on into our next section. So now we've logged into the system. We are all seeing Illinois Works reporting system. If you are not seeing the Illinois Works reporting system, you don't have access, reach out to Dan Martinez privately through the chat, and he will work with you to make sure you have access, okay? But let's now move on to our next section where we're going to be actually reviewing what is on the main page of IWRS. And again, we are going to be going here on the slides, and then we'll be practicing everything we review on the slides. So don't worry if there's something on the slides you feel a little lost on. We'll walk through it together. So during this module, you will learn how to navigate the IWRS main page from the perspective of an individual with a server provider access. So the available features may be slightly different for program administrators, but for everyone else, you will all have access to all of the features that we talk about today. So the first feature is the navigation bar. So on the top of every page in IWRS, you will see this navigation bar that is highlighted with the red box right now. And all the way to the left, you will see the Illinois Works logo and the Illinois workNet logo. If you click on either of those, it's going to take you back to illinoisworknet.com. So it'll bring you back to that workforce portal that we started on when we logged in. Next, you will see dashboards. So when you select the down arrow on dashboards next to the word dashboard, you will have the option to either choose assessment or Illinois Works reporting system. So these are the two dashboards that are in the system. So if you want to, if you're on the system now, you can go ahead and click on that. We'll do that in a practice as well. The next feature is groups. So that is the, you'll see kind of three little people clumped together. That is your groups feature. This is how you get back to that groups search page. So where we clicked on ILWorks to get into the Illinois Works reporting system, that groups button is how you will navigate back to that groups search page. And then the last item you will see is hi and then your username. So here on the screen, Gia took a screenshot so you can see it says, hi, Gia Suggs. For you, it will say, you know, hi, Deborah, hi, Jermaine, whatever your username is, that will be there. And when you click on that, you will see a couple of features. So you will see my partner dashboard, Illinois WorkNet, IWN message. You will also see a new feature called Help Request, which our partner Heather from SIU will be reviewing later on. And you will also be able to log off in that menu. So you will see a log off option in that drop down as well. Now, again, this navigation bar is on every single page, no matter where you are in IWRS. So you will always have access to all of these features, no matter where you are in the system. So the next page that we're going to review is the main page of IWRS. So when you log into IWRS, as many of you just did here, you will see the following tabs. So there will be participant recruitment and engagement, partner engagement and management, work plan, and report. So we are going to be reviewing each of those in greater detail now. So the first one is your participant recruitment and engagement tab, and that houses all participant information and is where you'll be able to access individual participant profiles. So you can access information in a couple of different ways. So one is by status. So when we say status, we mean they're an applicant, they're enrolled, they've completed the program, whatever status that participant is in. Or you can search for a specific participant by name. So you can see here on our slide, there is a name field. If you type in a participant name, the system will bring up that specific participant for you. Now, the screen also allows you to search, which will allow you to search for users by their status, by, again, their participant name. You can also use the export button. So this allows users to download key information regarding participants. The student needs report, which will allow you to access red flags for participant attendance or post-assessment scores. And then all the way to the right, you'll see a button that says add participant. We are going to be spending a lot of time adding participants and getting a participant set up today. But this is where you will start adding a participant by clicking that button. Now, the next tab that we're going to review is the Partner Engagement and Management tab. This tab allows you to add and track partner information. Now, Illinois Works requires all grantees to engage with a range of partners, especially around wraparound services, student support services, and transition support services. So all of those services are really where we see those partnerships really shine for our grantees. So we ask you to engage with those partners, strengthen those relationships, develop new relationships, especially in those areas. Now, grantees are required to track partner information and engagement with partners in IWRS through the Partner Engagement and Management tab that we are looking at right now on our screen. So when you click on this tab, you will see that there are three sub-tabs that appear. The first one is partner. So this is where you can add a new partner or search among existing partners. The second tab is engagement, and this allows users to track engagement with partners and add contact notes for partner engagements if necessary. And then that third tab is contact notes. So if during any engagement you provide contact notes, this tab is where all of your contact notes will be saved. So you will be able to search by content, by partner, but you can kind of get an overview of all of the contact notes you've ever saved. All right. So now let's take a look at each of these tabs individually. So the first sub-tab, partner, on this tab, you will have two fields at the top of the tab. So the first one is name and then intermediary/provider. These fields allow users to search for a specific partner by name or access the full list of partners added by their organization. So for many of you, that intermediary/provider will just be your organization name. It will be auto-filled for you. You don't have to worry about it. However, if you are a grantee that has multiple IWRS pages, so perhaps you have multiple grants with our team, you will need to choose which location you want to look at partners for. So that is what that intermediary/provider dropdown will be. In that name field, again, you can put your partner name and search just specifically for that partner if you know who you're looking for and need their information. Now to add a partner, you will see on the screen here, there is a button, a blue button called Add Partner underneath that intermediary/provider dropdown. And you will select Add Partner and the system will have a pop-up window with a form that will populate. And once that form is completed, you will just select Add Partner Information and that partner will now be saved. Now, to track any engagements, you have to first add a partner. So that is kind of that first portion that you need to do to be able to track any sort of engagement. So you can see here highlighted that Add Partner button. You'll click on that, and then a form will populate allowing you to add in that partner's basic information. Next up, the next sub-tab we have is engagement. So again, once a partner has been added, it is only once that partner has been added that you can then add an engagement to that partner. So an engagement is any professional interaction with the partner, including, but not limited to, meetings, phone calls, speaking invitations, any of those. So it's really tracking those significant interactions with your partners. And this sub-tab allows users to search a specific partner, see a full list of engagements, or add an engagement. So again, you can search by partner, you can search, you can look at all of the engagements you've had with any partner, whichever you would like to look at. But say you now have had a meeting with a partner and you want to add an engagement. What you're going to do is here on this screen, you can see highlighted is that Add Engagement button. So you will go ahead and select Add Engagement, and a pop-up form will appear. And in that pop-up form, you will select the name of the partner you are looking for. So a drop-down list will appear and it'll list all of the partners you've added. You'll select the partner you want to add an engagement to, and then you will select the service type the partner will provide. So service type is, are you partnering with them for a supportive service? Are you partnering with them for a transition service? So it's just the type of service that you are partnering with them on. Then you will add an engagement date. So this is the date that you met with them, you had a phone call, you had a speaking engagement with them, whatever that might be. And then you will select Add Engagement, and the system will save that engagement to that partner profile. So now, if you needed to add any sort of contact notes to that engagement. So perhaps you had a meeting with that individual and you now wanted to save a contact note. What you would do is on that engagement sub-tab, you will find the engagement that you just saved and you'll click on that. And then you will see a feature that says add contact note. So when you click on add contact note, you will see it looks kind of like a case note. You can type in there, you know, if you're planning to follow up with them, what the contact was, if there's any pertinent information that you might feel needs to be shared with anyone else who might come behind you in the system and need to know what engagement you had with that partner. But all of those contact notes will be saved on that specific engagement, but they will also be saved on the contact notes sub-tab. So you can see here that contact notes sub-tab is now highlighted. And when you click on that, you will be able to see all of the contact notes that you have ever saved for any engagement and for any partner. So through that page, you are able to search by that partner's name if you want to find any contact note you've done with them. You can also filter your list. So you'll see a full list of all of the contact notes. You can filter by a subject, by who entered that contact note. You can search by the date. So if you knew you engaged with them on a certain date, but you can't quite remember what you needed to do for them, you can filter by that date as well. All right, so that is our partner engagement and management tab. So now we are going to look at our work plan and report tab. So the work plan and report is accessible from the IWRS main page, and this outlines program dates and outcome metrics. So when you select on the work plan and report tab, the report will appear for you. So your programs, you can see on the screen here, this is what it will look like. Your program specific information regarding program timeline, outcome metric goals, specific cohort information will be available there. So that will list your key outcome metrics, your goal outcome metrics, your actual numbers. So if you have an enrollment goal, it will show the actual number of individuals enrolled in IWRS so you can see where you are towards your goal. And then it will also list your start and end date of each of those metrics. So, you know, for example, if you have kind of your instructional dates, you'll see your instructional dates are listed there. If you had dates, you will have dates around your enrollment period. Those will be listed there. So this is just kind of showing you, are you on track towards the goals for your specific cohorts? So before we move on to our practice, are there any questions about the main page overview that we just did?
There are no questions in chat.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the screen and we are going to practice together. All right. Okay. So anyone who still has your hand up, feel free to go ahead and lower your hand so we can make sure that we are all on the same page. But right now on the screen, you will see the main page of Illinois Works reporting system. So up here, as we started, you will see this navigation bar. So again, this navigation bar is going to be available to you any screen you are on in IWRS. And we talked about these two logos here. So I'm going to have you all go ahead and just click on one of those logos. So I clicked on the Illinois Works Reporting System logo. And it brought me over to the Workforce portal. So again, clicking on the Illinois Works logo or the Illinois workNet logo is going to take you back to illinoisworknet.com. So it'll bring you back to this main page. Now, to get back into IWRS, you can go ahead, click on My Dashboard. You'll click on your Customer Support button. And it's going to have you come back to that groups page that we looked at earlier. So you can see that here. And then once this is processed and brought up our group name, we'll click back into IWRS. This process in a little bit here. So we'll just give it a second. Okay, so as you can see, we'll click on IWRS here, and then it'll take us back to our main page. So that is what both of these logos here will do if you need to get back to that IllinoisWorkNet.com. The next feature you'll have here is dashboards. And when you click on this drop down, you'll see assessment and Illinois Works reporting system. For our system, we really just only use this Illinois Works reporting system. This is our dashboard. You have full access to any assessments on Illinois WorkNet, but please note that Illinois Works, our team, does not require any Illinois WorkNet assessments. So these are open to you, but we do not require them. So I just want to remind everyone of that. The next button you'll have is this groups button. So again, that will bring us back to that groups search page that we were just on. Then the next feature that we reviewed, and again, I just want to, some of you are going to see some of these buttons I have on my screen and you will not have them on yours. It is because of my access level. So do not worry if you don't have some of these kind of matching ones that I have here. But then the next item that we looked at was this button here. So this is always going to say hi, and then your username. So for me, it's C Flynn ILW. And when you click on that, you're going to see my partner dashboard. You're going to see help request, which Heather will be reviewing with us later. Illinois WorkNet and IWN messages. And then you will also see the log off. So if you need to sign out of the system, this is where you're going to go to sign out of the system. All right. So that is our navigation tab. Are there any questions, Veerle? Do we have any questions in the chat about that?
No questions so far, Christine.
Okay, great. All right. So next up, we're going to look at each of these tabs. So when you sign into Illinois WorkNet, the system will automatically place you on the Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab. So this is where you are going to see all of your participant information. Up here, you can search for a specific participant. So I have a test account set up here named Tiger Woods. So I just typed in his name. I pressed search and it brought up that participant for me. So you can search by a specific participant name. And then I'm just going to get back here to all of our participants. So you can do that by name. All of your provider information here in this drop down, this is going to be preset for all of you. So it may still make you kind of click on the drop down and choose your organization name, but it's really only your organization name that should be there. For me, you'll see I have access to everyone just because of my access level. So I'll click and show you kind of our test provider account here. You can see I switched it to that account. I pressed search, and then all of my participants for my test account have come up here. So that's how you're going to search. All of you will see a full list of all of your participants, no matter their status, on this screen here. And then you have the ability to, sort by their first name, their last name, whichever way you want to have your list sorted. And then the final drop down here is your customer status. So again, what this is asking is this individual, are they an applicant? Are they enrolled? Whatever you might be looking for. So say you are coming up to a new cohort and you want to have a full list of anyone you've ever talked to about the program. What you might do is come here to customer status and click on inquiry. That is going to tell you anyone you've ever entered into the system but has yet to kind of move forward. They didn't fill out an application, they just showed interest in the system or in the program. So you'll click on inquiry and press search here. And that will tell the system all you want to see is individuals who are listed as inquiries. So those are kind of the ways to search on this form here. Any questions about that?
No questions, Tiffany.
Okay, great. So now again, anything you put in here, you'll press search and that will tell the system to pull up those individuals. The next item we have here is our export button. So this is actually a report we're going to talk about a little bit later in today's session. But this report will allow you to pull a whole host of participant information. So demographic information, training information, assessment information. Again, we're going to delve deeper into this a little bit later, but this is where this export report is housed. So you'll do that by just pressing this button here. Next up is your student support needs report. So again, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But you'll access that by pressing this button here. And the student support needs report, as a reminder, is where you're going to get any red flags. So if a participant has a red flag for attendance, they have a red flag for post assessments, this is where you will go to see exactly which participants have red flags and where they have a red flag. So what training module they have a red flag on. And then the final button here is add participant. So we are going to be actually going through adding a participant after our break today. But this is how you will start the process of actually adding a new participant. So any questions before I move on to our next tab?
No questions in chat.
Okay, great. So our next tab here is partner engagement and management. Again, this is where you're going to track any of your partner engagements. And then once you click on partner engagement and management, you'll have these 3 sub tabs show up. The first sub tab is your partner tab. So this is where you actually are going to see a full list of your partners. This is also where you are going to be able to add a new partner. So similar to participants, you can search by a partner name. You will also have this the ability to search to click your provider name here, so you can just see a full list of any partners that you have attached to your organization. And again, in either case, you'll put in the information here and press search, and it will bring up a full list of your partners. Now, if you want to add a new partner, you will click on this button here called Add Partner, and it will bring up this pop-up form. And you can go ahead and just add in your partner information. So it'll ask for their name. It's going to ask you what type of partner they are. So are they a business association? Are they a school, a community-based organization, whatever that might be that fits them best. It'll also ask the number of employees that partner has. If they are an apprenticeship sponsor, so this might be an employer who is willing to sponsor individuals into an apprenticeship program, you can click yes or no. And then it'll ask for kind of the basic information. So where are they located? And then your provider name here will be automatically chosen for you. So basic information about your partner. And then once you've added in all of your information here, all you'll do is just add partner information. You'll click this button right here, and then they will populate here on your list. So that one is pretty simple. I think it's pretty intuitive, but if you have any questions as you go through it, please let us know. Are there any questions right now about adding a partner?
So far, no questions.
Okay, great. So once you've added a partner, you're going to go to your next sub-tab, which is engagement. And this is where you will see any engagements you have had with any of your partners. So again, you can search by that partner name. You will normally just have a full list of all of your engagements that are here. You can see I only have a couple of engagements that I've put on our test account. But again, if you put in that partner name, press search, it'll bring up those partners for you. Now, if you want to add an engagement, just as a reminder, you have to have already added a partner to add an engagement. But what you'll do is click this button, add engagement, and again, a form will come up. This one is even simpler than the last one. It will just have you choose whichever partner you want, and you can go ahead and search by a partner name. So I just put in Old Course Construction here, and then it'll ask you what type of engagement you engage with that individual with or that partner with. So it could be, you know, job site training, if they did transition services, if they did support services for you, some other instruction. So if you had them come in and teach an employability class or some other engagement along those lines, you'll choose that. And then the date of that engagement. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to add this in. For all of you, you're not going to have a partner yet, so just you can't follow along with this section, but I just want to show you what's going to happen when we add an engagement. So again, I've chosen my partner, I've chosen my type, I'm going to put in today's date, and I'm going to hit add engagement. And the system will just confirm that that engagement has been added, and you will see it kind of instantaneously here on our list now. Now, say I had something I needed to note on that. You know, I know that someone else is going to be looking at this, or, you know, there's something else that I want to save information on. I'm going to go ahead and click on my partner name on the engagement I just created. And now you'll see I have two options. I can either update my engagement, so if I need to change something that I entered here, or I can add a contact note. So when I click on add contact note, it's going to ask me for a subject. So say I just want to make sure that I want to follow up with them. And so I'll make my subject follow up, and then I'll make my comment. Let's say follow up with Old Course Construction regarding next week's module. So whatever you want to put in there, you'll put in there, and then you'll press add contact note. And the system again will confirm that it added that contact note for you. Now, if you click on that engagement again, you'll now see our contact note has been added to that engagement. So if anybody else needed to come through the system and see what we had talked with them about, saw what our next steps or follow-up things we needed to do, they can just click on the engagement and see that follow-up contact note here. Now, if you just wanted to see all of your contact notes, you'll click on our next sub-tab here. And this will bring up any contact note that you have put in on any partner. So if you are not sure, you remember that you did something with one of your partners, but you can't quite remember which partner it was, this is a good place to go. This will have all of your contact notes. You can search by your partner name, or on this list here, you're able to sort. So you can sort by your partner name, and it'll bring up any contact note related to that partner. You can also sort by who it was entered by. So if you need to see any note that I ever entered, you can do that here. And then you can also sort by the date. So you can see, you know, if you want to do oldest to newest, newest to oldest, whichever you want. But then what I really like about this feature is you can actually see the content of that contact note. So instead of going through every single engagement you've ever had with that partner, which for some of you could end up being a lot, this will allow you to actually see exactly what was written in that contact note, so you can kind of follow along. So if you were to search for, so we'll put in here old course construction. If you were to search just for that partner name, you can see all of the contact notes and any progression you've made with that partner by date on this sub tab. So that's why this tool is so powerful. It really gives you that visibility without having to individually click into each engagement. All right. And so are there any questions about the partner engagement and management tab at this point?
There are no questions in chat.
Okay, awesome. So the final item, I just saw a question come up, Fairly. Did that come up on your end too, or just for me?
Yeah, it just popped in now.
Okay.
Under Rochelle, are the contact notes for employers like case notes for participants?
Exactly. Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it is. So it's just really meant to be helpful contact notes. The difference with our contact notes, so between partners and participants, is that you are not forced to write a contact note for a partner. So throughout the system, there are parts where the system will force you to write a case note. Contact notes are optional. So it's really just meant if you think it's necessary, if there's some other additional information you want to add in there, you can add those, but the system will not force you to add them. So Rochelle, that was a great question. All right.
There are no more questions.
Okay, thanks, Fairly. So the final report that we looked at was this work plan and report. So again, you will see here that this intermediary provider will default to your name. So when you log on here, you will only see your cohort information. Now, for any new grantees, you will not likely have anything on this screen yet because your grant manager may not have added that yet. So I will say to anyone who's assigned to me, I have not yet added your work plans. Those will be added this week. But once they are added, this is what it will look like. You will see that you have all of your cohorts here. And then all of those cohort specific information, goals, and actuals will be here. So for cohort 1, you'll have the goal of how many people you wanted to enroll, how many people you want to complete, how many people will go to a primary transition. And then if you put any goal in the secondary, that will show up here as well. And then as you go through and enroll individuals, the system will pulse through the number of individuals you've enrolled, you've completed, and you've transitioned. So this is just a good way to always see how close are you to the goals. This is also a good place to check if you're coming up to compliance. And this report is saying that you only have 19 people enrolled, but you know that you have 20. You just want to make sure to go back and see kind of who might be missing from that list. I have seen it a lot where it just the switching to enrollment just gets missed for someone. And that's just, part of data entry. Sometimes we just miss a click. So this is a good way to verify how many people should be enrolled, how many people are actually showing up as enrolled. Now, a nice feature of this report as well is you'll notice that this actuals number is hyperlinked. So if you click on this actuals number, it's going to take you to a list of those individuals who fit those parameters. So if it's saying these 5 people are enrolled, it's going to give you a list of those 5 people. So if you know that someone is missing from that report, If you click on that, you'll get a list of everyone who's in there, and it'll make it a little bit easier to identify who might be missing, right? Who's doesn't have the correct status. So that is the work plan and report. And that was the last item that we went through in that module. Any questions on this report or anything that I just went through with you?
So far, no questions in chat.
Okay. Okay, great. So we're now at a stage where we are going to go ahead and take our break. So we're going to do a 10-minute break. And when we return, we're actually going to be adding a participant. So we'll continue to go through on our slides and then practice what we just learned on our slides. So please come back here at, let's do 10:58. So that is in 10 minutes, 10:58. We will see you back here after the break. All right, everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a good break. So like I said before we broke, we are going to be heading into actually adding a participant and working through the intake process. So I'm going to walk through some slides to show you kind of how to do the first couple of steps. And then we are going to break and go to our practice where you all will actually be entering in some dummy data so we can set up a test account. So by the end of this module, you will be able to add and update a participant, complete a pre-screen assessment, complete an application, complete a career assessment during orientation, and complete a wraparound service assessment. So let's go ahead and revisit the Illinois Works pre-apprentice life cycle. So in this section, we are going to be covering the following steps of the life cycle: outreach and recruitment, application, intake, wraparound services, and student support services. So we'll be talking through kind of half of the life cycle. So the first step in the life cycle is outreach and recruitment. Outreach and recruitment provides potential participants with information about your pre-apprenticeship program with the objective of recruiting interested and qualified candidates to apply for the pre-apprenticeship program. So if you want more information about outreach and recruitment, the programming side of outreach and recruitment, you'll refer to section 4 of your 2023 Illinois Works Grantee Manual. And in addition to checking out the manual, you can also get more information from the recording that is on the Illinois Works Partner Guide for the Grantee Manual Session 2. So Grantee Manual Session 2 is where we discussed outreach and recruitment. So the primary goal of outreach and recruitment is to identify potential participants, or what we call participant leads. So participant leads are individuals who may be interested in enrolling in the pre-apprenticeship training program. So they've shown some interest in the program. And the aim is to funnel leads through a screening process that transforms qualified individuals from leads into applicants. So you'll see here on your screen, this is how we're going to do that in IWRS. So you'll start on the Participant Recruitment and Engagement tab on the main page of IWRS, and you are going to select Add Participant. So all the way to the right on that tab, you'll see the blue button that says Add Participant. You will click on that, and the form that's on your screen right now will appear. So this form is where you're going to fill out the basic information about the participant: their first name and last name, their phone number, their email address, what type of participant lead are they. So again, we talked about lead types in Grantee Manual Session 2. So generally you're going to see warm leads and hot leads are the ones who get added into the system. However, we do ask that you add in any lead type that you come across. So anyone who has been interested at all in the program. But more often than not, the people you're going to be adding into the system are going to start at a warm or a hot lead. So they have shown some sort of interest in the program. Maybe they're ready immediately to jump into an application. And then you will add in your provider information and then a follow-up date. So that follow-up date is really important, especially for those who maybe aren't ready to do an application right now. You have the ability to kind of set a follow-up date, and then the system will track that date for you. So you're able to see these are the individuals you're supposed to follow up with. You'll be able to get a list of those, so then it will make your kind of outreach a little bit easier. So once you have filled out your form, you're going to click Submit and Add Case Note. And then a case note form will appear. And that's where you can just add in any additional information. So this might be information like you met this individual at a job fair, they've asked you to follow up via email, or they've asked you to follow up via telephone, you have a set appointment with them, whatever information would be relevant to follow up with this individual can go in that case note. And then you will close out the case note. And at that point, the system will have you complete a pre-screen assessment. So now, again, anyone who gets entered into the system, very likely to be that warm lead or the hot lead, you're going to want to make sure to go through this pre-screen assessment process. So once you have submitted and added your case note, the system will auto-populate the pre-screen assessment.
There is one question in chat.
Yeah.
What is the difference between warm and, this is from Tawana, difference between warm and hot inquiries?
Yeah, so again, we talked about that in Grantee Manual Session 2. It's also in your Grantee Manual in Section 4. But just very quickly to go through them, a warm lead is someone who has shown interest, but they might not have been fully committed to going into the program quite yet. So this is someone who they're responsive, you know, they'll follow up with you, they'll talk with you, but they're still trying to work out when do they actually want to join the program, when do they actually want to set up an application. A hot lead is someone who is ready to go. So they know exactly what cohort they want to join. They know when they want to sign up. They're ready to do an application. They're ready to go through the process. So your hot leads are the people who are kind of getting their, got everything they need to do. They're on it. They're ready to go. Your warm leads are, they're definitely interested. They want to be there, but they're not quite sure yet where they're going to end up. So that's kind of the key difference.
No other questions in chat. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So once we've completed our, initial adding in the information about that potential participant, the system is going to kind of expand that screen and you will be able to see the pre-screen assessment. So the pre-screen assessment allows you to determine if a potential applicant meets the basic requirements of the program. So the pre-screen assessment is, here we go, here on this screen, and it has 5 questions. So again, these are basic eligibility questions of the program, but those questions include, do you have an interest in making a career in the construction industry? Do you have the availability to attend the program? So do they have the time availability? Are they able to actually attend if they are going to be accepted? Do they have a high school diploma or GED? Are they at least 18 years of age? And are they an Illinois resident? So if they say yes to all 5 of those questions, they have met the basic eligibility of the Illinois Works system, and they can now move on to that next stage of application. But under those 5 questions, there's also some additional information. So the first question there is, how did they hear about the program? So this can help you in your outreach and recruitment. If you're trying to determine kind of which outreach and recruitment mediums are working best for you, you can choose how they heard about the program. And then you're able to start to kind of hone in on what's really working for your team. Then below that section, you're going to fill out if that individual meets the pre-screening requirement and they're interested in participating. So that is where you're actually confirming, yes, they've met the eligibility and they want to move forward in the process. Then you'll add your pre-screen date. If there is a follow-up date, so if that person says, yes, I'm interested, but I'm not ready to complete, the next step quite yet, you might have another follow-up date with them. We'll add that in there. And then it'll ask you basic demographics. So their sex, are they female, are they male, female? Do they not want to share that with us? And then their race / ethnicity. So once those are all completed, you'll select submit and add case notes. So you can see that big red arrow there. you will press that button to submit your pre-screen assessment. Now, they just want to kind of reiterate, they must have a high school diploma or GED certificate unless you are running a high school based program. So if you are running a high school based program, we have already approved that they do not have to have a high school diploma once they enter the program. Additionally, applicants must be 18 years of age, again, unless they are in a high school-based program. So we do offer high school-based programs. You know who you are if you are one of those, and that 18 years of age and high school diploma are kind of waived for you for initial application. All right, so after the pre-screen assessment has been submitted, you are going to receive a confirmation stating that the recruit has been updated. So you can see the system will populate kind of this little confirmation for you. And now it's at this stage that you need to kind of determine, ask yourself, is this individual ready to go forward and complete an application? Or do they just want to stay a lead for now? So maybe they're not quite ready to apply, but they are interested. So if that individual is not ready to move on, they just want to stay a lead for now, what you'll do is you'll click on the little, you'll click OK here on this confirmation, and then you'll click the X to get out of the add applicant. And that will just leave that individual as a lead. Now, they're still saved in the system. They're going to be considered in the system what we call an inquiry. So they're just interested in the program, but they haven't quite taken the next step. Now, if they do want to move on, what you'll do next is you'll click OK on this confirmation, and then on the Add Applicant pop-up here on the screen, this information will auto-populate from their pre-screen assessment. And then you will click on Search for Existing Applicants. And what that will do is the system will be looking to see if that individual has ever signed up for an Illinois workNet account before. And if they have, the system will simply match that person to our system. But if they have not, you will go ahead and create a profile for them, essentially, by adding them in. So either way, whether you're matching them in the system or you're creating a new profile for them, the next step is completing the application with them. So you can see on the screen here is a copy of the application in IWRS. And so the system will automatically fill in any of the information that's already been added. So anything you've added on that pre-screen assessment, on the Add Applicant assessment, is going to pull over that information, so you don't have to re-enter it. But you will need to enter in kind of more detailed information. So their address, if they have any additional phone numbers, items like that. Excuse me. And then the system will also go through their educational background. It will go through any additional considerations. So I just want to note for the additional considerations portion of the application. So you can see on your screen here, it goes demographic and contact information, education, other considerations. That other considerations tab or section is purely for you to get information about that individual that you might need to offer more counseling around. So this is where you're going to find questions such as, do you have any sort of history with the criminal justice system? Do you have any sort of history with drugs? Would you be drug-free if you were to be tested? So things like that do not disqualify someone from our system, but they are items you're going to want to counsel that person around because it might change their ability to get into specific programs. So again, it does not disqualify them, but it does tell you and your team how you might need to support them a little bit differently than someone who doesn't have those considerations. And then the final section is work history. So it will ask about kind of their most recent employer if they've ever been employed. So do we have any questions at this point before we switch into our practice and actually start adding a participant?
Yes, we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
One was about age. Adam asked, should it be 18 by the end of the program? I think you answered it, but just in case, you might want to reiterate.
Yeah, so our general guidance is to make sure that they are 18 when they apply, based on most of our programs are pretty short. And so the likelihood that you're going to admit someone on kind of that short timeline. Again, we do make some exceptions for high school based programs. Adam, for your program, because of the structure of it, we might also be able to kind of make an exception there. But why don't we talk offline about that, since your program is a little bit different than some other programs that we have.
The next one is from Ms. Morales. If information is entered incorrectly and needs to be changed, would it be possible to remove or delete the participant to re-enter their information correctly?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the only individuals who can remove a profile are with SIU, because whenever you are removing something on IWRS, it's going to affect that individual's workNet account at large. So if you do have that issue, you need to change something, you need someone removed, just reach out to your grant manager and they will make sure that we can get that individual removed by working with our partners at SIU. That was a great question.
No other questions in chat. Thanks, Kristen.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and let's practice. So I'm going to ask everyone, if you have logged out of the Illinois Works reporting system, please go ahead, log back in now, because we are going to be walking along together and setting up a test participant in all of your accounts. So please go ahead, log back in to Illinois WorkNet. Dan just went ahead and put the link for that in the chat, so you guys can grab that and log back in. Okay, and then once you have logged in, if you can just put up your little hand so I know that you're there and we can get started. Awesome, thank you, Andrew, Giselle, Nora, Sarah, Felina, Johnny. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, great. Great, great, great. Okay, all right. You can go ahead and lower your hands and we're gonna go and get started. So as a reminder, if I'm going too quick, put up a little turtle and I will slow down, but I will try to kind of stop for questions and things as we move through. So here we are on our IWRS main page, and we are on our participant recruitment and engagement tab. We're going to go to the right side of our screen here and we're going to click on add participant. So again, this is the first stage of adding a participant. So you will click on that. And then you will have this screen come up here. So add participant. Now I'm going to add in dummy data here, and I'm going to ask you guys to kind of follow the same convention that I am doing here, just so that we can make sure that you all know this is going to be your test account that you guys can kind of work with whenever you need to. So for the first name, we are going to write the word test. So our person's first name is going to be test. And then the last name is going to be your organization's name. So for me, mine is going to be Illinois Works. For some of you, it's going to be, EDDR, Richland, CAPS, whatever your organization name is. make that the last name of the participant. Then for our phone number, where I'm just gonna put in 123456789 test dummy number. And then again, the email is going to be your organization name. So I'm putting illinoisworks@test.com. So that again will just tell us it's a test account. All right, and then the next field, this is where you're going to be choosing your participant lead category. So let's go ahead and make our test person a warm lead. So again, this is someone who is interested in the program, but they're still waiting to determine if they want to do an application or not. I do see a comment from Pearl in the chat. Pearl, Dan will follow up with you about any issues you might be having to determine kind of why you're not able to follow along here. All right, so once we've added our lead type, this provider name, again, this should be set for you. So it will either auto-populate here, or it may make you kind of do the drop-down list, but then your organization will be the only one there. So go ahead and fill that out. And then for this practice, we're not going to do a follow-up date. We're just going to leave that blank. And I just want to, before we move to the next step, please put up your hand to confirm that you have, my screen looks like your screen. So we're just matching. Awesome. Great, 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 great. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, awesome. Okay, you guys can go ahead and lower your hands. So now we're going to click submit and add case note. And so that is first going to bring us to our pre-screen assessment. So it will force us to do a case note in a little bit, but first it's going to have us do our pre-screen assessment. So now, again, if that person was not ready to complete an application, we would just kind of X out of this and the person will be saved. But we're going to say this person is ready. We want to fill out this pre-screen assessment. They're actually going to not only fill out the pre-screen assessment, they're going to go all the way through application. So we're going to go ahead now and complete our pre-screen assessment. And we want this person to be qualified. So we are going to say yes to all of our questions. So do they have an interest in construction? Yes. Do they have the ability to attend the program? Yes. Do you have a high school diploma or GED? Yes. Are you 18 years of age? Yes. And are you an Illinois resident? Yes. So again, we want 5 yeses here. That means they have met the basic eligibility of the program. All right. Oh, I see you, William. I'm going to slow down here. So let me just pause here.
I have a question, actually, if you got a time. I see other people are having the same issue in the chat. When I'm to the add participant and we entered all that test dummy stuff, I got recruitment user already exists. And I can't go any further.
Did you put in your organization's name here? And in this email as well?
Yep.
William, the problem is we have several people from Richland. So I put in Richland A as the email address. So try putting Richland W for William and just see if that changes it. It won't let you duplicate an email address.
Okay.
Great point, Adam. That is a great point. So if there are multiple members of your team on the system right now, the system is going to be looking for an alternate. So if you have multiple members of your team, just try adding a number here after the email name, because it's going to be looking for a different email. So that is a great point. Thank you, Adam, for that. Okay, so once I'm going to give everyone a minute to and get to this stage who had kind of noted that the recruitment already exists. So Jermaine had his two. Oh, hi, Suzette.
Christine, I apologize for chiming in, but at the bottom of my screen it says null and contact us. So I'm not able to move forward. When I hit submit and add case notes, it says null and contact us.
Okay, let me can I have Dan, can you reach out to Suzette and work with her? I'm not sure why that error might have come up there. Suzette, I'm gonna have Dan reach out to you and see kind of why that might have come up.
Awesome, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, is everyone now at the point where they've been able to submit and add case note? Just want to make sure we're all on the same screen now. Okay, I got Michelle has raised her hand. I got a thumbs up.
Michelle,
Okay.
we have thank you and it works and thumbs up for a few.
Okay, perfect. Well, I cannot take any credit for fixing that. That was all Adam. So thank you to Adam for noting that. So now that we are kind of at the stage where we are submitting and adding case notes, now let's do our pre-screen assessment. So we're going to go through again. We are looking for 5 yeses here. So do they have an interest in construction long term? Do they have the availability to attend the program? Do they have a high school diploma or GED? Are they at least 18 years of age? And are you an Illinois resident? So again, we want these 5 yeses here. Next, we're going to mark how did they hear about this program. So feel free to choose whichever one here. I'm just going to choose social media, but this is where you can kind of determine how they heard about your program. There is a feature in the system where you can download and see the answers to this, so you can start to get an idea of where are we getting the most people from, which might help long-term with your outreach. And then we're going to choose our pre-screening results. So you can see we have 3. So the first one is does not meet the pre-screen requirement. The second one is they do meet the requirements, but they're not interested in participating right now. And then this last one is they meet the pre-screen requirements and they're interested in participating. So we're going to choose that one because our test person wants to move forward. And then we're going to choose today's date. So for our practice, again, we're not going to choose a follow-up date, but you certainly can add one in here if you need to follow up with this person in the future. And then we will choose a sex. I'm going to choose female. You can choose whatever you would like to choose. And then I'm going to choose any race, ethnicity. So again, here you can choose more than one. So if an individual it identifies as more than one, you can choose that here. And then you'll submit an add case note. So before I submit an add case note, is there anyone who is stuck on this part or anything odd is happening in the system that's going to stop you from moving forward?
So far, no issues or questions in chat, Christine.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So we're going to do submit and add case note. Now, this is the stage where you are going to determine, does this person want to move on and do an application right now? Or do they want to just stay as an inquiry in the system or a lead, right? So for our purposes, we are going to go ahead and have them be an applicant. So we're going to click OK here. And you'll see that the information that we entered, so their first name, their last name, their email, that is all going to pull over from that pre-screen assessment. So you won't need to re-enter that. But we are going to enter in a date of birth. So remember, They should be 18 or above unless you're a high school based program. So go ahead and type in whatever date of birth you want to give them. And then once you've done that, it's just going to ask you to reconfirm their email address. So you'll do that. Your intermediary, so your provider name should be listed here. And then you're going to type in their zip code. So what this is going to do is this allows Illinois WorkNet to search if this individual has an existing account on the system. So once you are finished with this, you're going to press search for existing applicants. But before I move on, I want to make sure everyone's good. So if you can give me a little hand, a thumbs up, just something to show me that you guys are good, we're ready to move on. Awesome. We had some cheers. Awesome. Thanks, Alejandro. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, so we will search for existing applicants. Now, they didn't find my applicant. So, well, actually, wait, hold on. Password account exist. Okay, so this is just telling me I must have already set up a test account with this. So this is what it's going to look like if you have already a user that matches. So you'll be able to then add another applicant, or you'll be able to complete the initial application with the applicant. So we are going to move on and do an application with this applicant. So go ahead and click on complete initial application with applicant. Whoops. Hold on, technical difficulties here. I create too many test accounts and then I throw myself off. So just 1 second.
Christine, a lot of the users receive that same error as well.
Oh, everyone did. Okay, recruitment user already exists. Huh, okay. I'm not sure why that's happening. So maybe it's not just mine. Let me check here. All right, so we have some who's worked and some who did not. Let me just check and see. Okay, I am not sure why this is giving us an error here, so I apologize. Okay. Recruitment. Okay, so I'm just going to check our chat and see. So we have a couple who worked. There's some people saying recruitment user already exists. Okay. It says error for me too. Mine worked. It says error has occurred. Okay. All right. So for those of you who have error occurred or recruitment user already exists, so we're going to just take a second and just kind of reset here. So I want to make sure, let's all navigate back to this main page here. So once you've gotten back to this participant recruitment and engagement page, if you could just throw up an emoji for me. So for those of you who your test account is working If you can also just, I want to make sure we're all kind of working together. So let's just get back to this participant recruitment and engagement screen. Okay, all right. So now we're all back on this screen. For those of you who had an error or it said recruitment user already exists, something like that, do you see any profiles populating on this page? If you do, can you give me a thumbs up? Or a yes in the chat. Thank you, Joshua. Do you see any users on this page? So do you see even possibly the user you just entered? Yes, okay. Okay, okay. All right, so we're gonna do this a little bit differently. So normally what's going to happen when you enter a participant is you will choose add an application. It's gonna take you directly to the application. So that is how the system is normally going to work. I will try to figure out on our end why that might have flagged an error for us, but that's not gonna stop us today. There are other ways to do this, so we're going to move forward. So here's what we're gonna do. So if you see your person in your list, so I just added my Illinois Works test right here. All I need you to do is just click on that hyperlink, that person's name. Let me find. Okay, so for those of you who have that on your screen, is this pre-screen populating for you, or tell me what is populating for you? Are you seeing this pre-screen? If so, thumbs up or a yes in the chat. Okay, we got some raised hands. Okay, raised hand.
I'm on an overview page now.
Okay, you're on an overview
Is that where I'm
screen.
supposed to be? So
Yeah.
it's working?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect, William. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can stay there. Mine worked initially, so it took me to the overview. Okay, awesome, Sarah. Okay. Overview page. Okay, so it looks like we're having just because of this error, it kind of is gonna throw off where some of us are. So we're working on overview page. Okay, so for anyone who had kind of that error message come up, are you able to access the overview page for that participant? So I'm going to show you. So this is what an overview page is going to look like. Are you all seeing this? A page that looks like this? I can get a yes in the chat or thumbs up, hand raise, something. Okay, I have Johnny, no. Michelle, no. Okay, so we have a mix of individuals here. Getting demographic and contact information page. Okay, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. So unfortunately, because of this error, we're going to end up on kind of different spaces. So I don't want that to happen. So here's what we're going to do. For those of you who were on who kind of got taken to this overview page here, stay there. For those of you who are not seeing this page, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you just create a new applicant account. And we're gonna just switch something up here to make sure that the system is not thinking you're trying to just re-enter a new person. So again, if you're on the overview page, you can take a minute, kind of zone out. I'm gonna work with anyone else who is not on that overview page. So for those of you not on the overview page, we're gonna add a new participant. Okay, so we're gonna go through this process again, just change a couple of things. So on this participant recruitment and engagement screen, you'll click on add participant. And now in the first name, instead of putting test, I want you to put your organization name. Okay. And then we're going to make the last name test. So we're just going to switch those. Then we're going to do our phone number, which again, I just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And then for our email address, what I want you to do, and again, if you are with multiple people on the call, it's going to be looking for a different email address. So I want you to just choose two numbers, two random numbers. So I'm going to do 8, 9. And then I'm just going to put my organization name at test.com. So this is just going to make sure we have different email addresses because the system's going to be looking for that email address. So two random numbers, organization name at test.com. Then again, we'll choose our warm lead. And then we're going to submit an add case note. So for those of you who did not see the overview page, are you guys good with where we are right now, entering this new participant? If you can give me a thumbs up so I can just make sure you guys are with me. Okay, my thumbs up, got a hand raise. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, so now we're going to submit an add case note. And we're just going to fill in our pre-screen again. So we'll just make sure all of these are yes, all the way down. And then we're going to choose however they heard about the program. We'll do meets pre-screen requirements, interested in participating. And then we'll choose today's date as the pre-screening date. Choose our sex and then our race/ethnicity. All right, and then we're going to do submit and add case notes. So everyone who's following along with me, good to go? Give me a thumbs up, hand raise, something to tell me we're good. Okay, Miguel, thank you. And a couple more. Okay, I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds just so people can kind of get through this piece of it.
Christine, there are no questions in chat. They're saying that it has worked, but I do see something from Daryl. It says I'm getting demographic and contact information page, and that might have been.
That was from a little bit earlier before
Okay.
we started. Yeah, thank you, Verily, though. All right, so now we'll do submit and add case note. We got, we'll put in our date of birth here. We're going to confirm our email. Okay, and then put in the zip code. All right, so are we good? Are we all good with this page before we do search for existing applicants? Okay, we got hand raised. Okay. Perfect. Okay, great. So we'll search for existing applicants. All right. Okay. And so what this did, so you'll see here, this is recognizing that I have not set up this applicant before. So this is the applicant information. So this is how you know the system is saying, okay, I had to set up a new system, a new profile. And then you're gonna press complete initial application with applicant. and it'll take you straight into the application. So this is exactly how it's supposed to work. Normally, you're not supposed to get an error message. So let me see. So Johnny, Jermaine, and Tawana. Okay, it's stuck on fetching any account. So Felina, it might just take a second. So let me know once it's done processing. It says error has occurred again. Okay, so I'm going to have Dan, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to Johnny, Jermaine, Tawana, Felina, and Ashley, and just see kind of what's going on their end. Actually, wait. So just Johnny, Jermaine, Tawana, and Ashley. Felina, we'll see kind of if yours comes through. Because that should have kind of averted that error. So I'm not sure if that is a system issue or if that's something I can address right now. So for those of you that worked, Dan's going to work with those of you who were not able to get to where you guys needed to go. But for everyone else, I'm going to go back to that overview page. So I left the rest of the group on that overview page. So let me get back there. Okay. So okay, so just like you guys, I'm gonna find my person in the list here. I'm gonna press their last name. And then I'm gonna be on this overview page. So I just want to make sure if you can send up some sort of emoji, raise your hand, something, so I know you guys are on this overview page. Those of you who are still having issues, I hear you. Dan should be working with you. If just reach out to him. But for everyone else, just make sure we are in the space together. Okay. Okay, great. So what we're going to do, because we're doing this a little bit out of kind of the normal order. So again, what's normally going to happen is you're going to fill out that pre-screen. You'll go to you'll click search for that applicant, and then you'll be taken straight into the application. But if you need to get to the application, if you click out of it, if you need to come back into the application later, the way that you're going to do that is you will start on this overview screen. You're going to click on this intake tab here. So this is your intake screen for your participant. So up here, you're going to see your pre-screen information. If you click on that, it will show you that full pre-screen, anything that you filled out there. But for us, we're going to complete an application with our customer. So to do that, you're just going to press this blue button here and complete application with a customer. So again, this is the screen you're going to see normally when you add that application through that process. It's going to take you directly here. You will see it's going to have kind of this information that pulled through from your pre-screen assessment. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter in just basically faux information here. So you guys can feel free to add in like your organizational data. You can also feel free to just follow along and add in the data that I'm adding. Completely up to you. So I'm going to add our, this is our office information here. So we'll do street address, Chicago. We're in Illinois. You'll see the zip code will pull through. And then we'll put in the primary telephone number. So this doesn't pull through just in case there's some change between the application and the pre-screen, or the number that you were given was not necessarily the primary. This just wants to make sure it knows what type of phone it's going to be. We'll put mobile. We'll see our date of birth has come through. And then we're gonna just choose our sex at birth. You do have the ability to mark preferred gender identification if that individual has noted that. Then you're gonna do military status. So again, we are trying to track any veterans. That's one of our underrepresented populations. So if this individual is a veteran, it gives you options on kind of how to choose that. And we'll do the marital status, and then race and ethnicity will be brought through, and we'll mark yes, they're authorized to work in the US. So that is the first page here. So hands up, thumbs up, cheer, anything, just let me know you guys are good on this page. Okay, hand raised, cheers, thumbs up. Okay, all right, awesome, awesome. All right, so now we are going to save and go to our next page. So our next page is going to be pretty simple. So it's just going to ask what is their highest level of education. So obviously we already evaluated, made sure that they had a high school diploma or GED, but this is going to ask you kind of where they might fall. So we have had people, come in who just have a GED, who have attained a high school diploma. We have some people who've come in with higher level, like associate's degrees or things like that. So you'll just mark whichever applies to them. You'll just reconfirm that they do have a high school diploma or GED. And then this will ask if they have ever participated in a pre-apprenticeship program before. So if you mark no, it's just going to leave it as no. But if you mark yes, you're going to see it's going to ask you for that training provider information. Now, this is really important because if they have participated in a pre-apprenticeship program before with an Illinois Works partner, we're going to need to know about that to determine kind of why they are trying to do the program again. So if they have participated before, you'll press yes, fill out that training provider information. If not, we're just going to say no for ours. That's the end of this page. So we'll press save and we'll go to our next page. All right, so this is our other considerations page. Again, the items on this page do not disqualify someone, but they might lead you to need to delivering additional support services. So for a driver's license, you can choose yes, no, but I would be willing to get my driver's license, or no, I'm not able to get my driver's license. So for ours, we're just going to choose yes. They did do a driver's license. Then we'll go here. So some employers will complete a background check for new employees, and then they can choose kind of whatever might apply to their situation. Again, this does not disqualify them, but you might need to help them kind of navigate some of these, depending on kind of what their history is. There might be some things you need to help them navigate in their transition. So next up, this is asking about drug testing. So are they drug free? Can they be for at least 30 days? So whatever kind of applies to them. Would they be willing to take a drug test? Yes or no? Most registered apprenticeship programs are going to require them to take a drug test. So if they're saying no, they will not take a drug test. That's not something they will ever do. That might be a flag that they might have trouble getting into a registered apprenticeship program. This is asking them how they're going to get to the work site. So again, does not disqualify them, just something for you guys to know. They might need support with bus fare, things like that. Can they effectively participate in training delivered in English? We'll say yes. So again, training is going to be given in English, so they need to be able to at least be fluent enough to understand training and engage in training. So next is, do you have 1 year of high school level algebra 1 or equivalent with a grade of C or better? So this is an indicator that this individual would be able to be successful in the electrical trades. So this is a requirement of the electrical trades. And then, are you able to meet the time requirement? So again, are they able to be available for the time that this program is going to require? So we will write yes there. I'm gonna change our drug test to yes here as well. So are we ready to move on from this page? Send up some sort of symbol to me if you are. Okay, thank you, Saya, Dr. Palmer, Felina. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Okay. So we'll do save and go to the next page. And then this final page is their work history. So on the first question here, you're going to note kind of what is their work history. So have they ever been employed? Are they currently employed? Depending on what you choose here, the system is going to ask you for slightly different information. So if they're currently employed, it's going to ask for their employer information, why they're looking to kind of shift careers. If they've never worked before, it's just going to kind of cut all of that out. So it's just going to depend on what makes sense for them. For our practice today, we're just going to say, I have not worked for this was my first job. We'll say no to have you worked in construction, and then no to are you currently employed, since they've never been employed before. So now once we get to this portion, we've completed this, we are done with the application. So we are going to click Save and Submit. And you are going to be taken to a summary page. So again, send up some sort of symbol to me that this is what you are seeing. Does your screen match my screen? Awesome. Okay, Lilani, Rochelle, Marina, Michelle, Saya. Okay, awesome. Okay. So this is going to give you a full summary of everything you've just entered into that application so you can easily see it. If you see something that's incorrect, you can just click on that section. It's going to take you back there. You can update it and save it. You can also kind of collapse all of these if you don't want to see specific ones. But what we're going to do from this page now is we're going to click on this button down at the bottom. So if I opened all my sections, you'll scroll all the way to the bottom here, and you'll just click on Return to Intake. All right, so that is going to take us back to our intake screen. All right, so we did this a little bit of a roundabout way. We handled with some of our error messages. That's real life. It's going to happen. You're going to have an error pop up and have to kind of navigate sometimes around it. So if you have questions, you ever get stuck on something, always reach out to your grant manager. But for right now, we are going to pause here because we have now added our participant, we've done our pre-screen assessment, and we've done our application. So we are now going to jump back to our slide deck, and we are going to be start going through our participant profile. So kind of how to navigate that participant profile. And then again, we'll come back and practice. All right, there we go. All right, so she is going to bring us back to our slides here.
Christine, can you confirm that this is where we need to be right now, module 6?
So we should be in, yes, module 6, but on the participant slide, let me get the actual name of it for you. The participant profile slide.
Okay, let me scroll down.
So it's just right after that first practice.
There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Gia. All right. So we kind of already got a little bit acquainted with this page. So we are now going to kind of walk through with you kind of what this looks like. So once you have your application submitted, you are going to be taken to this profile. So this is your participant profile. And on here, you are going to see you're going to see 3 tabs up at the top. So the first one is overview. The second one is intake, and the third one is program completion / follow-up. So on your overview screen, you are going to see a list of different aspects of your participant profile. So your enrollment status, attendance flags, post-assessment flags, training status, and you're going to see that some of them say good, some of them say red flag, some of them say attention here on this slide. So what that is telling you is if an item is marked as green and it says good, it means there's no action that needs to be taken. Whatever that item is, it's good to go. You don't need to do anything with it. If it's yellow and it says attention, it means that there might be something off there. So the system has kind of grabbed it and said, hey, I might be missing information, but maybe that's not a problem. This is something you should take a look at just to confirm that this information is correct. And if it's a red flag, it means that something has gone wrong. So that participant has dropped below the 80% attendance threshold, that participant has failed a post-assessment, whatever that might be. And so if you see a red flag, it means that is something that needs to be taken care of immediately. Something has gone wrong, and now the system's telling you, hey, come and fix this. So when you're on this overview page, this is just a good way to see kind of how is this participant functioning? Is everything good? And you'll get those green, yellow, and red kind of notifications there. The next tab is your intake. So all of the participants' intake information is maintained here. So we just went through on that intake page. So that's where the pre-screen assessment is. That's where your application is. We'll go through, that's where your interview is going to be, your commitment agreement, your enrollment status, wraparound service assessment, and career assessment. So anything to do with intake is going to be on that intake tab. And then the next tab is your program completion / follow-up tab. So all of the information there is going to be regarding the participant's completion status. We are not going to be discussing that tab today. That is going to be discussed in our IWRS session 4. So session 4 is going to be taking place in March. So we will get that date out to you, but that's when we're really going to be walking through how to complete a participant. So now on our intake page, we have just completed our pre-screen assessment. We completed our application. The next step is our standardized interview. So to complete the standardized interview, you are going to navigate to that intake tab at the top of the screen. And just as a reminder, a standardized interview is required for all applicants. And this just allows you to gather additional insight into that applicant's interests, long-term goals, and what the participant hopes to gain from the pre-screen or pre-apprenticeship program. So that pre-screen in the application, those are going to catch any things that are eligibility errors. So this person doesn't live in Illinois. This person is only 16. They don't have a high school diploma. Those are kind of those basic eligibilities. What this interview is going to do is it's going to start to allow you to understand what is this person's real long-term goals. Because for all of you, your goal is to help them enroll into a registered apprenticeship program. That is your goal. If that is not their goal, they might not be a good candidate for this program. And that's okay, but it means that you need to refer them somewhere else. So just an example, if you have an individual who comes into the interview and you say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And they say, well, you know, I think I really want to open a restaurant. That might be a flag to you to say, this might not be a good program for you. You know, maybe this is something we need to talk about referring you out to an alternate partner who can help you get into a hospitality program or a culinary program or something in that vein. So that is the role of this interview. It just gets you more information about where that person is going. So to complete the standardized interview, as you can see on the screen here, in step number 2, it says complete interview using the interview sheet. So that interview sheet there is hyperlinked. If you click on that, you can download the interview sheet straight from IWRS and then complete it with that participant. Then you will mark that they were selected for an interview. So if they have passed their application, you think they're a good candidate, you'll select them for an interview. Once that interview is completed, you will add in their interview information. So this is where you're adding in the names of the 2 interviewers and then the average score that individual has gotten on the interview. So you can see on our screen here, we have our interviewer names, we have their interviewer score. And then once you are done adding that, you're actually going to upload those interview sheets. So those sheets that you have completed during the interview, you're going to upload them into the system. So you can see here where this red arrow is, that's where you're going to enter your interviewer information. And then underneath that is where you're going to upload the interview sheet. So we have a question in the chat I see from Deeva. It says, does it have to be 2 interviewers or can it just be 1? No, 2 interviewers is the requirement of Illinois Works. So that has been the requirement since the beginning. We need 2 interviewers. We need to have 2 interviewers because it helps to understand if one interviewer misses something, if you have one interviewer who's a really strict scorer and one who's a little bit looser, we need to understand kind of where that person's really standing. It's also important, all interview sheets need to be completed by the interviewer. So do not hand the interview sheet to the participant and have them fill it out. It is not a questionnaire. It is an interview sheet. You are interviewing them to understand, are they eligible for the program? So that's really, really important. Make sure 2 interview sheets, 2 interviewers, and then you are going to upload those sheets into the system. So Eva's asking, how is the interview score decided? By averaging both interviewers' scores? Yes. So all of the directions on how to utilize the interview sheet are on the interview sheet itself. So if you have questions on how to score, all of that is on the interview sheet. So I would suggest you to look at the interview sheet to get all of those directions. We also outline on there what the scoring range is. All of the information you need to do an interview is on that interview sheet. So please utilize that sheet, read the directions, and then once you are finished with the interview, you're going to upload all of that information here onto the intake screen. So, yes.
So, I mean, I understand that it has the directions there, but since you are requiring 2 interviewers, my question is like, which score do we put up on the in this area, in the standardized interview? Do you like add both of the scores and then average it, or because that is not on the list, that is not on the PDF. That instruction is not there of how do you end up with the final score.
So Eva, yes, you're going to average those 2 scores. So any guidance that is regarding the standardized interview sheet is in the grantee manual in section 4 or section 5, I apologize. That's program application and intake. So please refer to the grantee manual for any directions on how to complete that sheet. For today, we're just focusing on kind of the technical aspects. So once you complete that sheet, you're going to upload that into the system. So very important, the interviewer names and score, as well as those sheets, need to be uploaded into IWRS. So the next stage is once you have completed that interview, you've made your decision on if this individual is eligible for the program, they're good to move on. Now you're at a stage where you're going to be waiting for that first day of instruction. So you've let them know they've been accepted to the program. You want them to attend. And now you're waiting for that first day of instruction before you actually mark them as enrolled. So the reason for that, and I think everyone in this space has had a participant who said that they're going to attend, and then come day one, they never show up and you can't get in touch with them again. So we ask you to hold off on marking any participant as enrolled in the system until they have actually shown up for that first day of instruction. So to enroll them into the system, you are going to mark add enrollment status, and this pop-up screen will appear and it'll say add enrollment status. And on this screen, you will see there are 3 enrollment statuses. So when we go through this in the system, you'll see there are 3 enrollment statuses available. So the first one is enrolled. So that means they're in the program. The second one is not enrolled. So this means that they've gone through the application process and either your team has decided they're not eligible, or they have decided they don't want to move forward. So maybe they go through the interview and they decide they're not interested in kind of moving forward in the system. They would be considered not enrolled. And then the third is re-enrolled. So this is for an individual who maybe comes into your program, they drop out, but then they want to re-enroll in a later cohort. If they want to do that, all you would do is just mark them as re-enrolled on this screen. And then the final status that I want to mention, it's not on this pop-up, but it is related to enrollment, is administrative withdrawal. So that is for an individual who you accepted into the program, they said that they would attend, and then they never showed up. That individual is going to be considered administrative withdrawal. And that is really important because for us, that essentially means that that individual is kind of out of the system now. They've decided they don't want to attend. You can't get in touch with them. So you're going to update their status to administrative withdrawal. And that is on the program completion and follow-up tab. So again, we're not going to delve into that tab today, but I just want you all to know that is where that status is, and that's where you can update it. So if the participant is accepted to the program and then attends instruction, you are going to add their enrollment status by clicking add enrollment status on their intake page. And then you will click on enrolled for their enrollment status. And then you have the option to add in their social security number. So just as a reminder, for our program, social security is not required. However, adding one can be helpful if in confirming that the individual will be eligible for a registered apprenticeship program. It also will help us long-term kind of track their careers. So we use the last 4 of the Social Security to try to match them in long-term tracking systems. So you can add it in there if they're willing to provide it, add it. If they don't want to provide it, that's also fine. Next up, you're going to choose which cohort they're going to be enrolled in. So for cohort ID there, you will choose cohort 1, 2, whichever cohort they're meant to be in. And then you'll choose the enrollment date. So that could be the day you're filling it out. It could be that you're filling it out a couple days late. You have the ability to change the date there to whichever day they actually enrolled. And then you will press save, and that individual will be marked as enrolled in the system.
Christine, we have a few questions in chat.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so you've already answered the question regarding 2 interviewers, or can it be just 1? The next question is, how is the interviewer's score decided? By averaging both interviewer scores? Question. And the next question, for the sake of time, she is saying, this is Pearl, are the interviewers able to question the participant at the same time?
Yes, absolutely. So you can have 2 interviewers in the room with the participant at one time. That's totally fine. Any other questions, Verily?
That was all.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now once your participant has been enrolled, We are going to be talking now about kind of what happens during that orientation process. So during orientation is when you are going to be doing your signed commitment agreement. So in Grantee Manual Session 2, we talked about doing the signed commitment agreement. And this is an agreement that is between the participant and your program, and it clarifies the participants' rights, obligations, and pre-apprenticeship training conditions. So the signed commitment agreement must be uploaded into IWRS for each participant in your cohort. The commitment agreement is uploaded by selecting Upload Signed Agreement and then attaching the agreement to the file upload. So you'll see on the screen here, there's a red box around the words Upload Signed Agreement. That is where you are going to upload that agreement. Now, this agreement serves as a Family Education Rights and Privacy Act waiver. So the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, is a federal law that affords participants who are 18 years old or who have entered an educational institution at any age the right to have some control over the disclosure of personal identifiable information from their educational records. And without this signed commitment agreement, which includes that waiver, your program will not be able to legally track participant data in IWRS. So please be reminded, if we do not have that signed commitment agreement, if an individual is not willing to sign that agreement, it disqualifies them from the program. The only way that we can track this data is if we have that waiver from them, and we need that agreement uploaded so that we can track their data and you can enter their data for compliance purposes. So please keep that in mind. This is a requirement that needs to be on each participant profile. So the next step in intake is going to be your wraparound service agreement. So your wraparound service agreement is completed during that initial intake meeting between the participant and the wraparound service coordinator. So to enter a wraparound service assessment, you are going to select the button that states Wraparound Support Services Screening on the intake screen. So on the right side of your slide here, you can see that step number 4 on your intake page, Wraparound Support Services Screening. So you are going to click on that button, and that is going to bring up a pop-up that has a list of guiding questions with each service that is available in the Illinois Work System. So those are the services that are outlined in the partner guide, or I'm sorry, in the grantee manual. And so the wraparound service coordinator should ask the participant each question that is on that pop-up. And then the participant will opt in or opt out of services depending on their yes or no responses. So it's really important to keep in mind our wraparound support services are an opt-in model, which means that it's not a staff member going in and saying, oh, I think this person needs transportation, so we're going to just mark that they need that and give them a bus card. It's asking the participant, is transportation something that is going to impede you from being able to be in the program? If they say yes, then what do you need to kind of remove that barrier? Is it a bus card? Is it help with fixing a car? Like what do you need assistance with? It's really a conversation between that wraparound service coordinator and the participant. So once you have completed that wraparound service assessment, anything that you put in that assessment is going to carry over and be automatically assigned to that participant. And then you are done with that step. So the next step is your career assessment. So as a reminder, you will do 2 career assessments during the pre-apprentice's time with your program. The first one is called the orientation career assessment, and that is going to be tracked on the intake screen by choosing add career assessment. So under step 5, you will choose add career assessment. And this assessment identifies the participants' needs, including resume writing, interviewing skills, among others, and then also allows them to choose their construction and building trades goals. So this is where they're able to say, I need help writing a resume. I need help practicing interviewing. What are their goals? Do they want to go into a registered apprenticeship program with a union? Do they want to go into straight into construction employment and then get sponsored in? What do they want to move forward with? And then this is also where you can choose any areas of interest. So do they want to be a carpenter? Do they want to be an electrician? What areas might they be interested in? And this is going to really help guide your team, because if you have a participant saying, you know, I want to go into a non-union registered apprenticeship program, then those are the relationships you're going to want to start making sure you're activating for that participant. You know, it's calling on those transition partners to say, hey, we have a participant who really wants this. They're still going through the program, but they might be a good participant for you, and starting to have that conversation as they're walking in the door. So by the time they're finished, they have a better chance of transitioning to where they actually want to go. So before we jump into practice, are there any questions about what we just reviewed?
No questions in chat, Christine.
Okay. I have a hand raised from Suzette. Did you have a question, Suzette, or was that just an errant hand raise?
Hey, it's an error hand raise. I'm take it
Okay.
off. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Just want to make sure if you had a question.
Wait,
I was
but I
getting to
do
you.
have a comment. Christine,
Okay.
where were you in my last cohort, in my last grant? This information is so simple. I mean, I'm able to follow through. Now I'm going to have to go back to those files and update information because it didn't flow like this.
Okay. Well, I will take that as a compliment. Thank you, Suzette. All right, so now we are going to go ahead and we are going to walk through enrollment and our orientation steps for our participants. So I'm going to borrow the screen from Gia again here. And now you all should see the participant profile on your screen. You all should also be on your participant profile on your intake tab. So if you are, give me some sort of signal, hand raise, thumbs up, emoji, that we are all on the same page here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, great, great. So we are going to start with our standardized interview. So as a reminder, we've already done our pre-screen information. We've already done our view or our application. So the next step is our interview. So we are going to start. There are a couple ways to get your interview sheet. So the first way is, again, you can just click here on this hyperlink. And then it is going to take you over. This is what the questionnaire looks like right here. You can download that, print it, and you're good to go. The other way that you can do this is by going to the Illinois Works Partner Guide, and you can download it from there as well. So for our purposes right now, because we're practicing, I want you to go ahead and click on that hyperlink, and it's going to bring you over to this page or into the questionnaire, or it will just directly download onto your computer, whatever your settings are set up as. So I'm going to go ahead and download this onto my computer. And then I want you to just go ahead and just save this on your desktop. You don't need to change the name of it. We're just saving it so that we can go ahead and upload it in just a second. Okay. So I'm going to give everyone just a second to do that. All right. So now we have our interview sheet downloaded and saved we are going to go ahead and select our interview status. So we're going to select this. We're going to say that we're selecting that individual for an interview. We're going to go in and we're going to add in our interviewer information. So here, go ahead, you can put in your name. So I'll put in my name here. And then I'm going to put in Dan's name as well. You can put in you and a colleague. And then we're going to put in our interview score. So on our interview sheet, there are directions that outline the scoring. A maximum score is 40. So we ask that anyone who gets admitted has a score of 32 to 40. So I'm going to just put 35 here, say that this person had a 35, and we'll press save. Now, I know we've gotten questions about this percentage here. We ask you just to give us the raw score. I'm working on having this percentage mark removed because we don't want the percentage. We want the raw score. So out of 40 points, what did they score? And it's the average of my score and Dan's score. So we'll press save. I don't know why my system's not saving here. I apologize. Okay, I'm not sure why this isn't saving. Yeah, that's a good idea, Diva. Yeah, score must be a number. Okay, let me work with SIU to figure out why that's glitching there. But what's going to happen is this information is going to write or is going to save on the profile. So right under here, as we saw on our slide deck, it's going to have your 2 interviewer names and then whatever that score is. So once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and upload our interview sheet. So this is the sheet that we all just downloaded. So all you need to do is you're going to click upload interview sheet. And then you're going to choose your file. So we're going to go and find that file that we just downloaded. So we'll choose file. And then we will go to, I just saved mine on my desktop. So wherever you might have saved it, it's going to be called Illinois Works Interview Questionnaire. And we're going to press open and then upload. Okay, it seems like none of my buttons are working today, so I apologize. I'm not sure why the system's not letting me save any of these items. Let me see if I can just refresh my page here. All right, let me see if that worked just to kind of reset stuff here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we go. So you might just need to refresh. It looks like possibly my system might have timed out for a second. So just refresh and it'll kind of bring you back in. But again, you're going to put your interviewer names here, your interviewer score, that's going to be saved here. Then we're going to upload our interview sheet. So again, click on our file, press open, and then upload. And that will show right here. So you're able to remove it if you need to. You can click into it to see it, whatever that might be. Now, next up, once we've interviewed them, we've decided, yes, we're going to admit this person to the program. We think they're a good candidate. The next step is on that first day of instruction, when they show up, we're going to add in our enrollment status. So we will do that by clicking Add Enrollment Status. And you're going to notice it's going to default here to not enrolled. That's not a problem. All you need to do is click on the drop down and you're going to see all of the different statuses. So when you choose not enrolled, you can also choose some options. So not enrolled, they didn't complete their eligibility. Not enrolled, they're not able to complete eligibility. And then not enrolled, they decline to participate. So this is, they've pulled themselves out of the process. But for us, we're going to choose enrolled. That's going to bring up these alternate options here. We can provide our social security number for our purposes today. We're not going to do that, but they certainly are invited to do that. We welcome that for tracking purposes. And then for cohort ID, we're just going to assign whichever cohort they're meant to go into. So here I'm just choosing cohort 1, and then we have our enrollment date. So if you are on this page and you're good with this, please just throw up an emoji for me so I know we're all on the same page. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Taylor.
We do have one question in chat.
Great, thanks, Joshua. Okay, if we could just, I'm just gonna hold off on taking questions right now. We just have a couple more things. I know we're hitting time, so I want to make sure we get through that career assessment, just so I can get you guys all of that, okay? So let's go ahead and let's enroll that individual. And you'll see once they're enrolled, you'll have this new little bar kind of pop up so you can see this enrollment status. And then the next thing you're going to do is upload your signed agreement. So we're not going to upload a signed agreement right now. We don't have a sample one, but for you all you'll need to do is click on upload signed agreement. You're going to do the exact same thing you did with your questionnaire. You'll choose a file. You'll choose whichever file you want to upload, and then you'll press upload, and it's going to save right here in this section for you. So that is how you're going to upload your signed commitment agreement. So any questions about those features before I move on to our last two here?
There was one question.
Okay.
What score do potential participants need?
What, I'm sorry, what was the question? What score?
It's from William. William is asking, what score do participants need? 35 to 40? And
32
also,
to 40.
okay. And then there's another question from Marita. Is
Okay.
there a template for this, or do we create one?
So the signed commitment agreement is that is an exhibit document in the grantee manual. So you have to use our commitment agreement, and then you'll just simply add in any additional items that you might need them to commit to for their program. But they need to, it needs to have that FERPA waiver in it. So that is a standard document in the grantee manual. You can find that in the appendix of the grantee manual. Great question.
Okay, I think there are no more questions in chat. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So then the last two features we're going to go over are this wraparound support services screening and the career assessment. So you're going to notice that this career assessment is, I can't click on it right now. So the reason for that is because we need to complete this step before we complete our career assessment. So to complete our wraparound support services screening, we are going to go through here, and you can see each of these wraparound services has an associated question. So that associated question is there to guide you to make sure that they are truly opting into this service. So this first one, apprenticeship application fees, is just asking, are they going to be able to cover the cost of those fees? Transportation costs are here. So if they are able to have transportation or not, And then it will give you the option here. So let's just press, yes, they can cover their fees. Do they have reliable transportation? We'll say no. If you write no here, it's going to give you the option of what might they need. So do they just not have registration for their car? Do they need public transit? What help do they need here? So you can click on that. And then you'll also decide on, or you can mark any sort of family member that might need assistance. So if they need child care, you can mark that here. Do they have someone who's depending on them? If so, is there someone who's there to help them? Yes or no? So we'll just say yes. We do have someone who's depending on our care, and they are going to be cared for while we're in the program. This next one is about technology assistance. So do you have steady and reliable access to internet? Yes or no? So we'll say yes here. Do you have a computer that will allow you to access lessons, including online instruction? So let's say no here. So that's going to say, I do have access to the internet, but I don't really have a reliable computer. So that might be something they need to borrow a computer. They need to be in a computer lab when they're doing this instruction, whatever that might be. Now for driver's education fees, because we clicked that our participant has a driver's license, it's going to automatically say they're good with that. They don't need driver's education fees. If we had marked no, it would then ask us, do they need help getting their driver's license? Do they need those fees covered? Next up is your mentorship. So would they be interested in being partnered with a mentor? Let's say yes. Do they feel confident in their ability to manage their personal finances? Let's say no. So that's just going to say they might need some assistance. Maybe there's a module you guys can develop. So next up, it's going to be alumni networking. So would they find a benefit in networking with alumni? Is that something they're interested in? Mark yes or no. We'll mark yes. And then this last one is, are there any additional supports that would ensure your attendance and completion of the pre-apprenticeship program? So is there anything essentially we didn't cover here that you're dealing with that you need assistance on? And then you can mark yes or no depending on their answer. I'm going to just go ahead and mark no for our purposes. And then once this is completed, you'll press save. I'm just going to refresh my screen here, give it a second. Okay. And then you can see here that our wraparound service assessment is right here. You have the ability to click into it and see whatever their responses were. And then you can also see that our career assessment has now populated here. So we now can choose to add our career assessment. So let's go ahead and we're going to click on, oh, William, did you have a question?
Yeah, I never received that view wraparound support service screening, and so then it didn't open my add career assessment either.
Okay, so this link here didn't show up?
No, it did not.
Okay, can you just refresh your screen and see if that helps it? I know sometimes I have to do that and then it like clicks it in.
It's there now, thanks.
Oh, okay, awesome.
There's also a question in chat from Felina.
Yes.
Could they use a phone instead of a computer?
I'm sorry, I'm maybe misunderstanding. Use a phone for, do you know for what purpose does it say in the question?
No, she didn't. Felina, if you would come on.
Hey, yeah, and the
Hi.
wraparound assessments, it
Mhm.
asked if the person had a working computer, if they had access to the internet, and if they had a computer. If they had a smartphone, could they just use the smartphone instead?
So it's really going to depend on the program. So if you're depending on them to have technology to participate in a course online, so like if you're going to be doing some sort of like virtual training, it would kind of depend on if that would really be useful with whatever training you're doing. We don't really have a requirement on whether they use a phone or a computer. It's just more for if you guys are going to be doing like a 6-hour training, it might be easier to do on a computer than a phone. So it's just going to depend on the situation. Did that answer your question, Felina?
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so our final step here is we're going to add a career assessment. So again, this is where you're kind of getting information about resumes, about mock interviewing, and this is just kind of giving you a baseline for that participant so that they can understand and you can understand what assistance they might need around kind of eventual transitioning so you can bake those into your program long term. So the first question we have here is, do they have an updated resume? Then we'll ask them if they have experience taking part in job interviews. So let's start by saying yes, or yes, they have an updated resume, but no, they don't have experience with job interviews. So they might need some help with mock interviews or, you know, tips on how to kind of navigate a professional interview. Next up is, will you be readily available to transition to a DOL registered apprenticeship program? So here they can say yes or no. If they say no, the system is going to ask, when do they think that they will be ready to transition? So it might be that they know right at the end of the program, there's something coming up that they're not going to be able to go like straight into a registered apprenticeship program. In that case, you can put a date here that outlines that, but we'll say yes for our purposes. So next up, the primary goal. Here you have a full list of all of like different possible goals that they might have. So the two most common ones we see are DOL Registered Apprenticeship Union and DOL Registered Apprenticeship Non-Union. Those are the goals of our program, is to get someone into a DOL Registered Apprenticeship program. So again, they have the option to kind of choose any here. So you'll just click on whatever makes sense for them. So we'll just make those our two goals here. So both goals for this individual are going to be going into a DOL registered apprenticeship program. Then next, we have the ability to choose what trades they might be interested in. And so you can see here, we don't have a fully exhaustive list, so there are some that are not on here. But we did try to choose the most common ones. If there is one that's not on here that you need added, let us know. But I think we've covered most of the ones that we see most often. So go ahead, take a second and choose whichever ones might make sense to you. All right, so for me, I'm going to choose carpenter and plumber. And then I'm going to press save. All right, so can you all send up some sort of emoji or something to let me know that you are good with your career assessment? Okay, and it should just show up right here on your intake screen once you've finished. Okay, so I got a couple. Okay, awesome. Myrna, Taylor, thank you. Okay, great. So now this is the end of intake. So this is, you now have been able to finish, you've been able to finish your intake portion here. And now you have basically kind of like a template to use for all of your participants. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to have us go back to the slide deck. And I sincerely apologize with our practice today and some of the errors that we are running over. But we do have one more section I just want to kind of walk through with you guys. This is actually with our partner from SIU, and it's how to report any glitches in the system. So I'm going to hand it off to Heather Lawrence from SIU. If you are able to stay, please stay with us. If you have to run, I totally understand. I am kind of stealing some of your time from you now. But this will be recorded, so please look out for that recording. And I will hand it off to Heather to kind of walk you through how to report a system glitch in IWRS.
Perfect. Thank you, Christine. I am working on sharing my screen. Here we go. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And I see a few with their hand raised. Perfect. Thumbs up. Thank you. And I know it's been a long session, so I'm going to try to take this quickly. Oh, sorry, but still effective. So if there are any glitches that you need to report within the system, maybe you're pressing a button and it's not working. As Christine had said before, sorry, I have a box on my screen. I'm trying to move it over. Down here, there is the help request button. And so you're going to click that. And in this instance, it's going to take me to a different screen than you. It's going to actually take me within the system. But if you are clicking it, I am so sorry. I'm going to stop sharing just for a quick minute. Okay, but if you click it, it is going to take you to a screen that's going to look like, if I can get to it. I'm sorry, I have a couple extra windows open. Here we go. It's going to take you to something that looks like this. Can you guys see? Thumbs up if you can. It says, "Welcome to the help desk powered by Illinois WorkNet." Perfect. Thank you. So it's going to take you to this page, and I'm going to scroll in a little bit because the type is a little small. And this is where you're gonna file a ticket or a help request if you have something that's wrong. First, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say that there are some Illinois Works information down here you can look at. We have down here, return to Illinois WorkNet. Maybe you're coming in here and you're just taking a look. If you click return to Illinois WorkNet, that'll take you back. We do have written instructions that you can read. We have a YouTube video tutorial you can watch on how to file a ticket. If you're over here and maybe you want to go back to the Apprenticeship Illinois partner page, you can just click here and that'll take you to that page for some resources that might help answer your question. Or you can type in here and you can type Illinois Works and press enter. And it's going to take you up here to different resources. Now I'm gonna log out because it looks like I am logged in as the wrong person. I apologize. I was ready for this. Okay. So this is my test account that I use as a user or as a tester. So it's going to have three main icons over here on the left, the home screen, which is where we are at. I'll go over the My Tickets section, and then the knowledge base, you can click here as well. And it'll have all of the articles that we currently have in here. And we'll have it for different programs, but you can just click on whatever program you're looking at, and it'll have all the resources listed. Now, let's say you go through here and you're like, oh, these resources aren't cutting it. It's not helping me. So you're going to go back to the home page, and then we're going to focus on this main box right here. It says, please submit a help request or feel free to browse our knowledge base. Our knowledge base is using the search button or the light bulb. We have a disclaimer. When submitting a help request, please clearly describe the issue you are having in the description box provided. Include the browser information or link to the page where the problem occurred. And we ask that you do not include personal identifiable information like social security number, driver's license. And after submission, you will be receiving emails from support@illinoisworknet.com. And then we also ask that you do not include our previous kind of help email that we had. We ask that you do not include them as a CC on your help request. So I'm going to click help request. The top line is where you're going to summarize your issue. I'm going to keep this really basic. The blue button is not working on the overview page. And then the next section, the description, this is where you can include all your details. You could say, I have attempted to click the button 4 times and it is not working. Others in my office have also tried clicking. If you were clicking this button and receiving an error message, you can always attach it here from your desktop, or you can always drag and drop an image into our box, into this description box. But this is where you're going to want to provide as much detail as you can on the issue that you are having. Next, you're going to come down here and select a category. Your specific category is going to be Illinois Works. But for this specific demonstration, I'm going to select test tickets. That way I don't mess up any of the reporting information on the back end for our team. And then our CC category, if you have someone maybe from your office, your boss, someone you report to, that you should probably include from the beginning, this is where I would just include them. You can include up to, I believe I've tried even 10 CCs. So as many people as you want to include on this ticket, you can. But they're all obviously going to be internal and within your office or your department. For this example, I'm going to use my test name. So Heather Test. I have a Gmail account that I use for testing. This box right here just kind of serves as another reminder in case you've forgotten anything to attach a file. Just says if you acquire an error message, please type the error message in the description box above or attach a screenshot. Please upload any related screenshots or documentation to help identify the issue. And again, this is where we ask that you don't include information like birth certificate, a driver's license, or social security number, or date of birth at this time. We're going to make just a couple of modifications to the ticket as we've had them come up, and I believe we're going to add a birth date ticket in here, or a birth date box in here. But if we can try to keep as much personal information out of the description, that would be great. It's going to ask if you're a partner provider. For this demonstration, I'm going to say yes. If I mark yes, it's going to ask for my organization and a phone number where I can be reached. We'll probably try to most likely, converse with you via email, but we would also like, if there's a best phone number to reach you at, to please include it, as well as an extension number. And then it's also going to ask if this is an issue related to a specific customer. If it is, you're going to need the customer email address, the first name, and the last name. I'm going to add a date of birth box in here so you can include that as well later on, probably today. If I mark no, I'm not a partner provider, you can tell that is this a particular customer question goes away. And finally, this last question is the issue keeping you from moving forward? This button, I kind of sets the ticket on fire, the help request on fire. This tells us that you need help right now. Maybe you've got the customer in your office, or the participant in your office, or you need to really keep moving on this. It's really urgent. That's going to set a critical status on the back end for David Garvey, who will be working these. So I'm going to check all my boxes, just make sure I've got everything in here. And again, I kept it super generic right now, just for testing purposes. And I'm going to click create when I'm done. So what it's going to do is it took me over here to the second tab called My Tickets. And it shows the new state of the help request that I submitted. And if I click on that, It's going to show the state of new. So I can tell that, you know, I just submitted it. Nobody's gone in there and worked it on the back end. It's going to have a couple of details for me. Let's say maybe I got in here and I said the blue button is not working on the overview page. Well, maybe now the blue button is working, but the green button isn't working. So I could make a quick note. The blue button is now working, but the green is not. Any additional details that you forgot or need to include or anything else you want to put, you can always come in here to this section, the My Tickets section, click on the ticket that you submitted, and it can always be communicated here. You can always use this box. Now, when you first submit a ticket, you are going to get an email sent to your inbox. And sometimes it's going to take a couple of minutes. But it's going to say, you know, we've received a new help request. It's going to come from that email, the help desk powered by Illinois WorkNet. And you can always reply back to that email as well. So you'll always want to check your email. And the first time that you submit a help request, you're going to want to check your junk folder just because it's a new email. And so once you get that, you can always reply back to those emails. You'll probably get another email once David gets in there. And if he has any questions, he'll reply back to you. It'll say the help request has a comment waiting for you. We allow us 7 to 14 days for you to reply back to that commented email before we're going to close it. So you want to make sure that as soon as you get emails, you reply back to them, because we'd hate for you to do all this work and take time away from your work day and then the help request never gets solved. Just because maybe we need additional details. And then you'll finally get a third email address or a final email once the help request has been resolved. And so that is the ticketing system in a quick overview. I'm sorry. Does anybody have any questions?
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay, I tried to be quick. I know we've had a long session this morning. And like I said, once you click that help request button in your drop down, you can always get in here and play around, you know, and then click on a help request if you have any questions and just submit it that way. Okay, Christine, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather. I'm very grateful that you were able to do that so quickly. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your kind of flexibility on that front. Heather has closed out our content for today. So I'm now going to hand it over to Gia just to do our quick evaluation. So thank you all so much for attending. If you could hang on just a couple more minutes and do our evaluation, that would be greatly appreciated. So I will hand it to Gia now.
Okay, so we are at the end. Thank you, Christine, for handing it to me. I am going to send you all, if it's okay with you, a link to a SurveyMonkey to complete the survey. So please do that so that we don't keep you on the line any longer. You will get that in the next 48 hours. Please just be sure to complete that and send it back. Thank you so much for your time today. And Christine, I'm going to hand it back to you just in case there are any final thoughts to close it out.
Yeah, even better. Okay, so we look out for that link. We'll get that to you today. And then we do have a session. Our next session coming up is Grantee Manual session number 3. That is this Thursday at 9:30. And then the companion session to today's session, so where we will walk you through how to do the training aspects in IWRS, is next Thursday, the 23rd. So we will pick up where we left off today and go right into the training and services portion of IWRS. So we will see you all either this Thursday or next week. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys all eat some chocolate. It's the best part of Valentine's Day. So have a good one, everyone.
I got a question for you real quick if you're still here.
Yeah, what's up, William?
Will you send out a registration for the 23rd? Because I must not have had that because I registered for everything up front.
Yep, yes, I will resend that,
Okay.
just to make sure everybody has that. I'll
Thank
make
you.
sure everyone on this call has that, for sure.
Thanks.
Yep, thanks, everyone.